Hey guys, welcome back. I think this is streaming. I'm double checking. Um, but off screen, Leo sent me a little summary video of the play Medea. I did not realize that was a character in Hades too. I did not realize they were the same person. The first thing that I think of when I hear the name Medea is the movie franchise. So I just didn't put two and two together that was the same person. And I find it interesting that that symbol that we saw in that secret passage hallway place was related to some guy in London or something, and he was arrested for witchcraft. And Medea was a witch. I don't know if there's a correlation there, but there seems to be some kind of interesting relation to witchcraft a bit. Um,
Yeah, I mean, even I want to say it was Hedwig. Someone mentioned witchcraft in passing.
yeah, tarot cards, right?
Yep.
They did mention tarot cards. It was Eustace, I believe, talking about how she had a whole section in the library dedicated to tarot cards. And Hedwig was very offended, like, tarot cards, why would anyone need that? And like, oh, it's just fun. I didn't put that together the first time around. That's really interesting. But I did learn the story of
Yeah.
Medea.
I mean, this
And
was the time period that witchcraft was actually, considered, I guess, common.
yeah,
It
I
was a thing
believe,
people were worried about.
yeah, it was like Satan worship or paganism or something was very focused when it came to witchcraft. Um, I don't know, but I just find that very interesting. After luncheon, we all filed out of the rectory to return to our duties. Eustace made a beeline to the stairs up to the library, and even though we had made up after this morning's spat, I felt inclined to keep away from her a bit longer. Catherine slipped out of the rectory before I could ask her about James's story. I must admit I was relieved once again to have an excuse to avoid that conversation. I was more interested in the symbol Margaret had showed me, which I feared indicated something far more sinister than I or the superior were prepared for. Margaret seemed wholly unperturbed throughout our meal. How? I could not understand it. Just thinking about the twisted shape made me sweat. It had been so close to my cell. How had I never felt it? Had I woven some dark spell on me and I just hadn't noticed? Was it responsible for who I was? The mistakes I continued to make, the concessions I made without verbal complaint to fit in with these women, the lack of a fight to put up with the superior as she broke the seal on my cell, was that thing responsible? These thoughts ran rings in my head until I too felt as if I had been sprinting in circles for too long. I did my best to shut them out and decided instead to wander down the cellars, somewhat hopeful that it would keep me out of sight for the afternoon. After all, the cool air of the cellars would perhaps clear my head.
Ah, Hedwig, would you be so kind as to settle an argument between myself and Marta?
I had chosen poorly. Argument?
Try this.
Uh, is it supposed to smell like that?
Not you too.
It does smell absolutely rank, Adela. Adela was holding a sinking ladle over an open cask, waving it between our faces with a great deal of indignation.
As I told you yesterday, Sister Marta, it smells like this temporarily. It gives the wine its flavor, and you can already taste it in this barrel. Go on.
Must I? Better you than I, I'm afraid. I might keel over if I inhale much more of this miasma. With trepidation, I took the ladle from Adela's hand and held it up to my lips. The half-finished wine smelled truly foul, enough to make me cough. However, Adela was glaring at me with such determination that I was ever slightly more afraid of her than the liquid. Closing my eyes, I braved a taste. It was actually not that bad. It was nowhere near the disgusting as a smell. However, it was clearly not meant for drinking yet, and whatever sweetness I could detect on my tongue was soon covered up by a watery and weak fruit flavor, which all soon replaced by the overpowering stench of the ladle and barrel. It's coming together. Unbelievable.
Even half fermented, the power sherry holds is undeniable.
How long will it take to come into its own?
It takes several years to properly ferment. This batch is quite young. It only started when I first arrived. I have been dragging Sister Marta into the future.
Thank God this isn't the only wine I have to work with.
You have help! Surely you are not rotating all the casks throughout the Solera yourself?
Of course not. What's the Solera?
All of these barrels, they have to move. You bottle some of the oldest wine from the bottom cask, and then refill it with some of the youngest, and rotate that back to the top. It keeps the quality consistent. And it means that some of the oldest batch is in every bottle.
She took a moment to spoon the ladle into the liquid and try to sip herself. She smacked her lips and looked thoughtful. That sounds arduous. Too right. Helps to have some unruly younger sisters around to threaten with manual labor.
I am always happy to help with winemaking.
Believe me, I know you are. So, does Darcy grow grapes too? Oh no. I use some fruits from the garden to flavor the other wines, but the grapes are from the village. The slope of the Tor is good with vineyards, but it gets too cold up here around the abbey proper.
They only recently finished the last harvest and brought it to us. Hence, the Solera.
There certainly is an awful lot of work to do around here. It sounds like... Thank you for saying so. Some people don't appreciate just how complicated our work can be.
Speaking of, I should really tend to my next task. Mr. Hedwig, would you walk with me?
I bowed my head to Marta, who responded in kind even though she was preoccupied with sealing up the test cask. Adela walked me back through the rows of wine barrels and up the stairs, striding with purpose. I struggled to keep up as she crested the staircase into the halls around the cloister.
Mr. Hedwig, how are you finding Limbero Tor Abbey?
Well, I'm not used to it yet, obviously.
Yes, it is obvious. I hope you do not mind me saying.
Not at all.
I am also new here. And I can tell that you are suffering in the same ways I suffered.
Oh, was I? Was I suffering in the same way as Adela? I nearly blurted that out, but managed to restrain myself.
You are anxious. You are confused. You are eager to please everyone you meet. I was the same way for a while, but you must not be afraid to stand your ground when you feel you must.
I don't know what you mean.
You are doing it right now, Sister Hedwig. You know exactly what I mean, because I am describing you as you are acting for me as we speak.
What is this about, Adela? Have I offended you?
Only my sense of justice. I want what is best for you, Sister Hedwig. I want to see you thrive. Do not retreat into your shell like Sister Flora does. She has an excuse. She is not yet 20. But you are nearing 30, are you not?
No,
Tell me, Sister Hedwig, was the sherry really so bad?
it was quite disgusting.
Of course it was. Sister Marta is going to ruin all of it before it is due.
But surely it couldn't be anything but foul midway through the aging process. I'm no expert, but I thought wine took time.
It would taste strange no matter what, but the taste I had after you, it was all wrong. I have worked on many wines, and have learned how to taste how wine is going to taste. And that sherry, it is not coming together as you described.
It was more of a guess.
It was a lie. A polite one, but untrue all the same.
I'm sorry, but shouldn't you be telling Marta, not me?
Oh, I will be marching back to Marta in just a moment. Believe me, Sister Hedwig. But I want to help you as well. Never be afraid to speak your mind. The others will respect that much more than endless acquiescence.
I find that hard to believe.
See, you are already catching on.
No, I'm not practicing. I just don't understand. I don't want to fight everyone.
Said anything about fighting? I am not saying you should be contrary. I am saying you should not pretend to be someone you are not. Be Hedwig.
You are not the first to tell me this today, believe it or not.
All the more reason to take me seriously. Please? I have been in your position before. I have felt lost and overlooked. But I became much happier when I stopped trying to please everyone.
I had no way to explain to Adela that, beyond being thrust into an entirely new world of social interaction, I was also trying my best to integrate myself to everyone for a reason. Butting heads with Sister Angela was more than enough conflict for me, and given that I was here to unmask a murderer, I felt that drawing too much attention to myself was unwise. Being the newcomer had surely made me visible enough without tempting fate, but there was more to it than that. Quite simply, I had no idea who Hedwig was.
Anyway, I have other business to attend to, and then I will be giving Sister Marta a piece of my mind. And then by supper, we will all be friends again. This is how things work. You must be strong.
I will try.
See that you do. I am on your side, Sister Hedwig.
Adela gave me a surprisingly firm pat on the shoulder and left. I stood in the corner we had been conversing in for a short while. I had found Adela's penchant for romantic language somewhat charming up until now, but I did not appreciate these treacly platitudes. I was bouncing between embarrassment and fury. I needed a moment to myself. It was not even close to supper time. The days here, it seemed, would be excruciatingly long until I settled into a routine. As I calmed down, I thought about where I would go next. I had already bothered Eustace enough for one day. I didn't want Darcy to get sick of me, and I just left the cellars. Moreover, I hadn't a clue where anyone else would be at this time of day. Margaret, Catherine, Moira, anyone really. I yearned for the comfort of my cell. At least there my task had been clear as crystal. Around this time I'd usually be setting in to copy down some Bible pages after reflecting on some scripture. It was almost automatic. Perhaps I'd while away the evening illuminating a page in golden leaf. With a start, I remember the last page I transcribed before leaving the cell. The book I'd thrown out the window. Surely it'd be weathered by the elements by now, but I felt a strong urge to go and reclaim the half-finished tome. If nothing else, it would be a comforting reminder of the last time I had been in a clear sense of purpose. It wasn't a terribly long walk to the side of the building my old cell window had faced. There was no path to the side of the building, however, and the terrain was uneven and the grass quite tall. It was strange seeing the buildings from this side. In the courtyard, the cloister, everything looked flat and mathematical, but here the earth rose and fell like waves around the stone. There was an immense forest not far from the abbey on this end, and my heart leapt up to my throat as I remembered the mysterious figure I had seen standing not far from here when I was searching now. I recognized my window high up on the wall. There weren't actually too many openings on the side of the building. Most of the glass windows faced inward toward the cloister. The book was not here. A chill ran up my back. I had seen it the morning after my tantrum, clear as day. Was I truly going mad? Had I hallucinated the book before the ghost and the goat? I scanned the tall grass around me. Maybe it slid down the hill or bounced off a fashion I had not noticed. Perhaps I was simply looking in the wrong spot. Try as I might, I could not find it. Unless it had been swallowed by the earth, the book had been moved. Who in their right mind would want a half-finished Bible soaked by rain and tainted with my own bile, no less? Then my foot slipped. I rolled down the hill with a yelp. I tumbled several times, legs over head, end over end. Hey, don't laugh. It was quite terrifying. What if I had broken a bone or fallen into some unescapable hole? I came to a rest against a small tree. I scrambled to my feet, using the trunk for leverage. I spat a little grass out of my mouth and groaned as I realized my habit was covered in dirt and grass stains. What a mess. It was then that I saw something highly curious. A piece of fabric was dangling from a branch in the tree I was leaning against. It was a small strip of black cloth. I carefully detached it from the sharp bit of branch that was snagged on. That would mean the figure I had seen that night outside my window was real. I felt some small amount of relief that I was at the very least not completely mad, but then I doubled back. Could a ghost or a demon not take a corporeal form? The monster I had seen the night before had certainly been solid. Neither of these ideas were particularly comforting. What's more, I certainly wouldn't make any headway on the mystery stranded out here. I stuffed this clue in my white stocking and began to hike myself back up to the hill of the abbey. I had not fallen that far afield, but it was still quite a steep trek. I decided I would walk around the other way from whence I'd come, just to complete my impromptu tour of the outside of the abbey. It was actually a little more even and flat the further I ventured around this side, which was a relief. I was able to stick close to the wall. I didn't feel like falling down any more hillocks this afternoon. Hello? I jumped. I had noticed a square window low to the ground close to the building, though which I could just barely make out Darcy's face. Goodness, you startled me. Hello, Darcy. What you doing down there? Oh, I felt like going for a walk. I hadn't seen the abbey from this side just yet. Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Yes, just a whim, I suppose. It's given me a sense of place, though. Did you fall over? Yes, yeah, I did. Oh, no. Oh, be nice. No, sorry. I am not trying to be cruel. It's just that we've all done it. You've all fallen down this side of the hill? It happens to me all the time when I go hunting for mushrooms and so on. I see. I bet it looked rather funny when you fell, though. Did you roll? Yes. Good. That's how you stay safe. Really now? Yes. If you go stiff, you'll break something. Flora did that once. Oh no. She's fine. She's young and her bones are supposed to break. Good for the constitution. Well, I'm not sure if they're supposed to, but better to break something young so it can heal. That's right. Well, what are you up to? What room are you in? Oh, this is just a funny little window in one of the halls. Oh, I suppose I'm close to the cloister on this end. That's right, and above the croft. Fascinating. Buildings are strange. Anyway, I was just on my way back from picking some bitter vetch for the stores. Oh, should I be worried about our stockpiles? Oh, not at all, but it never hurts to have around just in case. That's wise. Well, I should get going on. It should quite like to be back within the walls. Absolutely. She smiled widely and then disappeared from the window. The rest of the walk back was uneventful. When I finally made it around the cloister, I let out a weary sigh. My clothes had only just been washed, and I already made a mess of them, and the tumble down the hill had left me feeling a little queasy and out of sorts.
Catherine? Or wait, that's the name. I did the thing again. I need to stop just reading the first word I say.
Oh, that's your name. Catherine.
Sorry, I thought there was the other Catherine, but I remembered she's dead.
Catherine, hello.
You look like you just fell asleep in a field. Are you all right?
Yes, I just took a little fall.
Well, at least it was down something grassy and not the stairs.
Don't be so cruel. I stomped my foot and puffed up at Catherine, who looked bewildered.
Excuse me?
Would it be funny if I fell down some stairs? Would it be amusing if I broke my neck because I hadn't used stairs as often as you?
Hedwig, you're being a touch dramatic.
Oh, am I? Am I I had gulped up a bit of black bile once more. I felt dizzy.
Hedwig? Hedwig!
She reached out to stop me from collapsing.
Oh dear. Someone's overstimulated again today.
I gurgled something unintelligible in response. Catherine
Mood.
hoisted me up on my feet and began to lead me towards the stairs. Her nose wrinkled.
Ugh. We need to get Moira to take a look at you again, I think. That doesn't seem normal.
It was perfectly normal for me. As I half-heartedly walked with Catherine up the stairs, she declined to crack a joke this time. I reasoned that my propensity for spilling black bile all over the place was just my punishment for breaking a lifelong promise to God. It didn't matter how noble the cause of the superior had thrust upon me was. I hadn't been an Acorus, and now I had been an Acorus, and now I wasn't. This is just how it's going to be, I'm afraid.
What? The vomiting? This is exactly what I was talking about. You're acting hysterical.
I broke a sacred vow. We had arrived at the dorms. Catherine plopped me onto the bed, but didn't let me go. Instead, she squeezed my face with her hands and bent down to peer at me.
I'm no doctor, but you look ill.
Just like she had done with me when we first met, she licked her thumbs and rubbed it roughly against my face.
And dirty, honestly.
I hiccuped again, and a little more bile oozed out of my mouth onto my hood.
Stay put. I'm getting Moira.
She let me fall into a pillow and left in a hurry. I groaned loudly, feeling more frustrated than unwell at this point. I closed my eyes, just for a moment.
She is not okay.
I think she has a concussion or something from the fall.
I wouldn't be surprised. Hedwig!
Moira and Catherine were looming over me, looking concerned. Moira?
Oh dear. Still feeling a bit off, are we? She was acting very out of sorts, and then coughed all that up again. Hedwig, Is this more or less bile than you expelled yesterday?
Less, I think.
That would make sense to me. She's fine, Catherine. She's only adjusting. It's not... You know.
Moira let out a gentle chuckle.
It's not the Black Death, Catherine. Unless you've got some bubis you haven't told us about, Hedwig.
Bubos? Moira reached beneath my arms and rummaged around. It was so sudden that I wasn't able to react. I was even more taken aback when she moved her hands between my legs and squeezed my inner thighs without warning.
Nothing. Catherine, you really mustn't worry. She's just not used to the air outside her cell. Bodies react strangely to changes in their environment. It's highly normal.
This was humiliating. I felt like livestock being inspected for ticks.
She was very weak. Not to mention, well, a little out of sorts. Her attitude was very strange. Catherine, I think sometimes you may just have that effect on people.
Catherine looked affronted, but Moira simply took her by the shoulder and led her towards the door.
She just needs a little rest again. I'll bring you some more of Darcy's mint later, Hedwig. If you pile your clothes up, I can see to it that they get washed.
I grunted in appreciation. Moira gave me a little smile and ushered Catherine out of the dormitory. I shut my eyes, but unlike last time I had expelled all this goo, I wasn't particularly tired. I felt humiliated, stretched thin, and emotionally exhausted, but not tired. My mind was running in circles, in fact. I opened my eyes once more. If I really was to rest in my room for the afternoon, I should make something of my time. I scrambled out of bed to strip down as Moira had requested, bundling up my habit into a ball and leaving it near the door. The shred of cloth I'd recovered from outside was still in my stocking. I hid it under my pillow for safekeeping. I got down on all fours and reached under my bed. Perhaps now was the perfect time to read that play Catherine had left for me. Have you ever read Medea? I did not make it through the whole play in that one sitting, I'll admit. I found the whole thing intriguing, although extremely confusing. I fear that I simply did not have room in my head for some of the knowledge required to enjoy it fully. These pagan gods and foreign ideals, they confuse me. I assumed that there was a point to all of it that Catherine might have been able to teach me, but without her guidance, I felt lost. To be frank, the section I read was perfectly ghastly to my understanding. A jilted wife plots to kill her husband's new lover, and the new lover's father are going along with her. I suppose I didn't have Bible scripture to turn to in those days, so it was an interesting window into a world before the Word. However, when the heroine's thoughts wandered to murdering her own children in kind to prove the cause as much pain as she possibly could, I closed the book. It was too horrible to think about. I am not sure what I had expected, but in my memory, Catherine had been so excited to share this with me, suggesting that I would appreciate its contents. What on earth could she have thought of me to assume that I would have enjoyed this of all tales? I wasn't angry, I suppose. I felt like it was just a story, after all. I just had no clue what to make of it. Really. It hurt most that Catherine wasn't around to explain what she had been thinking when she planned to give me this. I'm sure she would have had a good answer. I did eventually doze off after reading a bit of a play. It wasn't for long, however. Moira soon arrived to take my laundry away and provide me with some more mint. Since I really didn't like the feeling of walking around the Abbey in my own nightgown in the middle of the day, I was stuck in my dormitory. This would usually suit me just fine, although, with nothing but a play I had my fill of to read, I had soon become restless. Luckily, I eventually heard a knock at the door.
Are you awake, dearie?
Yes, please come in.
Oliver told me you were still feeling a little under the weather, so I brought you some sage water.
Oh, how lovely, thank you. Charity set a pitcher and a mug down on my small reading desk and sat down in a little chair. She poured a generous amount of drink into the mug and handed it to me, which I accepted gratefully. This is very soothing.
I've always sworn by it myself. Drink it once a night. Would be dead without it, I reckon.
Really?
Maybe. Maybe not. I wouldn't take the chance and stop now, would you?
No, I suppose not.
Darcy isn't half clever with plants. Could well be that she's discovered a way to grow sage that'll make us last forever.
Well, when we're all over 100 years old, we'll know who to thank, won't we? Charity chuckled and wagged a finger at me.
Careful now. I might not be as far off from that age as I look.
You don't look a day over 30, Sister Charity. I couldn't help but feel jovial around Charity. We had barely spoken, but there was an aura of kindness and warmth around her that I could sense immediately.
Ooh, watch it, cheeky. Has Flora been putting you up to flattery like that?
No, actually, Flora and I haven't spoken all that much yet, I'm afraid.
She doesn't speak much at all to anyone until suddenly she won't shut it. Comes with her youth, I suppose. What were you like at her age?
Much the same as I am now, I believe. I was in the cell the entire time.
Oh, of course. Stupid me. Well, you're remarkably well behaved for someone who hasn't spent any time around people. That much I can tell.
Aside from the fainting and puking?
Who hasn't fainted and puked around here? You got everyone good last night with that little prank. I'm surprised Catherine didn't keel over. We're a fragile bunch. Nobody here will judge you for that. And if they do, well, let her who hasn't passed out in the Misericorde cast the first stone.
I've been meaning to ask, what actually happens in there?
You know what a Misericorde is, yeah?
In theory, I know the rules of Saint Benedict are strengthening. Stringently adhered to in there.
That's right. You can have 4-legged meat in there if you fancy. It's mostly for guests who aren't to be expected to follow the rules, but we get so few visitors, it's more of a little clubhouse for us.
I see.
You're welcome to pop in sometime, as long as there's room. It isn't a den of sin or anything of the like, it's just a touch more relaxed. Mostly the girls play chess and complain about the superior.
She let out a hearty laugh and leaned over to flick my arm. I smiled back. I didn't want to get into an argument with Sister Charity of all people, especially when this was the first time we'd really spent any time together. I would like to stop in to be sure.
Only half the nuns can be in there at any given time, so let me or Marta know ahead of time if you do want to hang about. It's not a problem usually, but I do hate having to kick anyone out.
Of course. Where does the other half usually spend their leisure time in the evenings?
Well, we've all got our own occupations, haven't we? Darcy's got her little projects. Margaret likes to go on wanders. Besides, it's not like the Misericorde's the only place we're allowed to relax. It's just the only place we can relax and have a spot of lamb to boot.
What do you like to do?
Well, Sister Marta and I will often sit in the cloister with some wine and gossip the evening away. There's a few wooden chairs down there. It's lovely on summer nights.
That sounds restorative.
Not half. When the moon's high, you hardly need a torch to see. The stars are lovely to watch.
I'll have to try that sometime as well.
You'd be more than welcome to join us, I'm sure. Although I'd worry we'd bore you to death with our old lady chatter.
I'm not much of a conversationalist myself, as I'm sure you've noticed.
You're better at it than Sister Angela, and that's all that really matters.
Well,
It's alright, girl. Spit it out.
she's rather mean-spirited, isn't she? Charity started laughing heartily.
Goodness gracious. That's the kind of thing anyone said about her in recent memory.
Well,
Sister Angela is a creep and a busybody. If she's been bullying you, you come to me. I'll sort her out for you.
we haven't had much run-ins that dramatic, I promise you.
Well, regardless, the offer's on the table. She was a right terror to Adela when she first showed up. Flora as well, for that matter. Though, Flora might have brought that on herself just a little.
I snorted laughing into my sage water.
Just a little.
Thank you, Sister Charity. I will keep that in mind. There was a strange knock on the door. Charity held up a hand to stop me from getting up myself and stood to open it herself. Sister Angela was sitting on the threshold, looking particularly icy.
Speak of the devil. Hello, Sister Charity. My ears were burning. How long were you standing there listening, you gangly creep? Not long. Your voice just happens to carry, and it would have been rude of me to interrupt.
Sorry, Angela.
Don't you dare apologize, Hedwig. I've seen the way Angela treats you, and I know the way she treats all kinds. You have nothing to be sorry for. The firmest I've been with Sister Hedwig is admonishing her for running in the halls. Is she, for some reason, exempt from the rules? Oh, don't give me that. You've been staring daggers at her ever since luncheon yesterday. You are imagining things. I wouldn't be the only one. Have you found Catherine's cat yet? Well, I'm off. It was pleasant chatting with you, Hedwig. I'm off to see Darcy. I have some questions about Nectar for her.
Angela sneered as Charity pushed past her into the hallway, but held off from saying anything in return. She didn't speak to me either. Instead, she simply dumped a pile of fresh clothes into the dormitory floor, and then turned to leave. Thank you. She did not respond. I carried the embarrassment from that encounter around with me for the rest of the afternoon. In an hour or two I had free before supper. I wandered the halls and exchanged pleasantries with anyone who passed me by, but I was preoccupied. Supper tasted like ash. Why did I feel so wretched, given that Charity had been completely correct? Angela had treated me horribly in my brief time within her reach. There was no denying it. From the way everybody else spoke of her, it sounded like I was not the sole target of her ire either. I deserved it. The suffering Angela seemed intent on inflicting upon me felt like appropriate punishment for all my little sins. In fact, if I had been all I had to endure, I might say that I had gotten off lightly. An anchorite or anchoress does not break their vow. It just never happens. As I spooned my meal into my mouth, I thought about these words. I will never appoint you over to terror, consumption, and the burning egg that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. I was positively awash in sorrow. I was terrified beyond reckoning. and I was racked with a mysterious illness, one that did not seem to be in life-threatening, but enhanced my sorrows and fears thrice over. I was being punished. For the next few days, I had completed my tasks in silence and wandered the halls in a daze. I accepted my doom. At night, the halls echoed with that familiar, incessant scratching. I would stand at the end of the old hallway, torn between returning to the comfort of my cell and the fear of the demonic symbol in the walls behind it. I must apologize. I don't remember anything worth noting for a little while after that.
Does it count as a time skip if it's a couple days?
Yeah, you're still skipping some time.
Yeah.
But you have to clarify that it was only a couple of days because the phrase time skip typically refers to like at least a year. I don't know.
Hedwig, what the fuck are you talking about? Excuse me?
I'm very sorry. My stupor lasted for several days. The superior eventually pulled me into her office and gently asked if I made any progress. I hadn't, of course, which meant the rest of the conversation was decidedly less gentle.
Hedwig, I'm sure that I don't need to impress the importance of your tasks upon you again.
No, not at all. It's just...
The path forward seems exceedingly simple to me. You haven't even breached the topic with Catherine the First?
How exactly do I do that without giving the entire thing away?
I would have expected that by now you would have been able to ingratiate yourself to the sisters. Can you really think of no way to elegantly approach the subject?
Not that easy.
Of course it won't be easy. Speaking of the dead never is. But surely you can come up with a way to be elegant about it.
I think you're vastly overestimating my social abilities. It's hardly been a week.
I don't mean to be too brutish, but you haven't been drawn and courted by any conspirators yet, have you? You're not suspected of any ulterior motives. I'm certain of it.
All the more reason to start in the press now feels so difficult. The superior sighed deeply.
Let's walk through things together. James told you Catherine could vouch for him regarding his traveling cloak. I imagine there's a way to confirm this without revealing too much.
How?
I suppose you could ask about Catherine the First generally.
Typo?
What? Yeah, I was also
Interesting.
confused by that. Respectfully, of course. And then you could, I don't know, mention you heard something about the cloaked villain arriving that morning.
No.
It is better than nothing.
It sounds like you've thought about this. Maybe you should ask her. You're her superior after all.
I am your superior as well.
Of course, I didn't mean...
And I could not ask her for that precise reason. I am in charge of this place, and therefore everyone has their guard up around me.
That doesn't make any sense.
It is the way of the world. Being in charge is often more work than being charged. It is exhausting.
But they'll trust me? I don't think anyone here would confide in me so much and so readily.
It is more likely that they would speak to you openly, yes? Or at the very least, they may be less inclined to choose every word so carefully.
I just don't know.
Hedwig, you met James. You saw his suffering.
I did.
And perhaps they have not shown it, but the sisters are suffering as well. Bringing the truth to light will help to heal everyone. It will fix everything.
Well, not the accused.
I just want the truth. If the sisters are keeping secrets, it could be well that they are hiding the truth out of fear rather than malice. The cloud must be lifted, for everyone's sake, and for Catherine II's.
I wish people would stop calling her that. It doesn't feel right.
Catherine II? I assure you I mean it with the utmost affection.
She
took to it wholeheartedly.
Her and Catherine the First, they played some sort of game for it.
It was a series of chess games, if I recall.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised at this point.
It is an exceedingly popular game. It's not just for children, if that's your apprehension.
I wouldn't say I have any apprehension. I mostly just find myself frustrated by its use as a sort of language all its own. I think I was expecting that years and years of reading scripture would have been enough to prepare me for speaking in the Abbey.
Interesting. You know, I actually find it surprising none of the books you had in your cell mention chess. It feels very old to me. There's so much written about it. As you've pointed out, it weaves through every conversation.
Every conversation.
Turning over.
It's commonly referenced in everyday language.
Especially murder mystery novels. I've known about it my whole life.
It's very frustrating. It's more than just chess. I don't feel like I'm relating to these women at all.
What if I taught you?
What?
Chess. Would you like to learn how to play?
I wouldn't want to impose.
Don't be silly. It's a game. It's not an imposition in the slightest. Besides, if it'll help you build up your confidence somewhat.
The superior got up from her seat and walked over to the shelf in the corner, retrieving a large wooden box. She heaved it onto her desk and opened the clasps, revealing an impressively polished chessboard. She carefully laid the board on the desk and beckoned me to bring my chair closer. She began removing beautifully carved pieces from the box and placing them on the board. Some were brilliantly white and others were tinted with a red hue.
Ivory. Aren't they lovely?
They're incredible.
Now, these common ones, that's right, the smaller ones, those are the pawns. They get lined up in the front, like this.
They look a bit like thimbles.
They do, don't they? Line them up in a row here.
What does one of the horses do?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to acquaint you with the most important pieces first. This one here is the king.
I will spare you the details of my first game. Needless to say, I did quite terribly. Although not for a lack of trying, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. It was interesting, though. It made me realize that I couldn't remember playing any games with anyone else before. I had little rituals I performed myself that I suppose you might consider games. I would commit the words to studying closely through Leciso Divina, and then I would see if I could make those passages in phrase again with words I wrote when transcribing new Bibles. What? Does that not count as a game? I will agree that it is different. You can play a game by yourself, but it's hard to consider that competition. The spirit of the whole endeavor is something different entirely. I sound just like Sister Adela, don't I? At the very least, playing chess with the superior was enlightening. I finally grasped why playing so and so moves ahead was such a helpful phrase. Unfortunately for me, I could barely think through the move I was making, let alone what I'd do in the future.
I believe that is checkmate.
Ah, so it's over.
Don't be discouraged. It was your first game. You did admirably, considering.
Thank you.
I am more than happy to play with you more in the future, if you'd like. But promise me you will ask Catherine, with a K, about James's cloak, one way or another.
Mm,
You made a promise to him, after all. And I think both of us have an unspoken promise to keep for Catherine II's sake. Don't you?
I will make sure to speak with Sister Catherine.
Which one?
With a K. The one that's not dead that I can still
Good
talk
girl.
to.
Good girl. I will summon you again in a few days' time.
She had been gesturing to me while defeated king's piece throughout the exchange. With a flick of the wrist, she placed it back in the sturdy box along with other pieces. I stood up to leave and bowed my head. Thank you, Your Reverence.
Now, we spoke of this.
Yes, of course. Until next time, Superior. She nodded and returned to tidying up the chessboard. I left the room.
You know what they should have done? Instead of Catherine the First and Catherine the Second? Should have been Catherine the Greater and Catherine the Lesser. Like James the Greater and James the Lesser.
That'd be pretty cool. It was mid-afternoon. I think this was a text conversation I had with someone, and with Air King, and he mentioned what if there was a character that was like reverse Joan of Arc, and I thought that was a pretty interesting theory. Because I believe
Reverse how?
I believe wasn't she a nun that was like went into the soldiers' army or something like that? So I believe
I don't know if she was a nun. She might have been. But
I believe she was a saint at least.
she was definitely a saint.
Yeah. So it would be interesting, like, so I believe that's kind of what the fancy man kind of thing was foreshadowing a bit, was like kind of a reverse on that, like someone trying to hide into an abbey. I don't know. Just an interesting history thing.
Yeah.
It was mid-afternoon. I remember the sky looking cloudier than ever, as if the fog I had seen surrounding Limbo Tor had encroached around the abbey itself. This was a strange place this is, I had promised Superior I would speak to Catherine, but with a K, but I admit that I was reluctant to run straight into her all the same. If she came to me, she came to me. After all, I would need to bring the topic up naturally. There was no use chasing her down. I decided to clear my head with a stroll through the gardens. My stupor had not cleared completely, but I at least had the energy and desire to be amongst the flowers. It was a reassuring feeling. It had been a few days since I had felt the capacity to want. Even with the gray skies above, the garden was a jewel. The flowers were fewer than I imagined they might be in the spring, but nonetheless the bushes, the hedges, the herbs were welcome, an inviting sight. I heard rustling up ahead. To my delight, a black cat eventually emerged from the bushes. It looked at me briefly with its big, moony eyes for a moment. I forgot all about my troubles. I stepped forward to coo at it. It looked at me inquisitively. But a sudden sound from the bushes startled the poor thing. It scampered away, leaving me somewhat disappointed. Aww. A figure emerged from the bushes next to me. It's Sister Angela.
Did you see it?
The cat?
No, the cow.
She looked entirely ridiculous. There was twigs sticking out of her hood from an attempt to squeeze through the bushes, and she was breathing heavily. I suppose she must have been chasing the cat for quite some time.
Of course I meant the cat.
Oh, yes?
Which way did it go?
It sort of scurried off that way. I gestured towards the edge of the path. I was trying not to giggle at Angela's misfortune, especially given that thinking about the animosity between us had put me in a daze for half a week.
I see.
She glanced in the direction I had indicated, then sighed and stood up straight.
If you find another opportunity, do try to seize it. Cats have no business here at the Abbey.
Why not?
Does it matter? I know you're not used to being outside of your cell, but I would have thought obedience would not be so foreign a concept. I am the prioress. That should be reason enough.
Why do you hate me so much? Angela was busy removing debris from her hood and cowl, but I could see her arch her eyebrow even higher than I used to.
I don't hate you.
Well, it certainly seems like you do. I should have perhaps saved this confrontational energy for questioning Catherine with a K. But seeing Angela out of sorts had, I must admit, urged me to act on the feelings that had been brewing inside me for the past several days.
That's funny. You know, I could ask you the same question. I seem to recall that I walked in on you being incredibly childish in your estimation of me.
That was Charity. She
Egged you on? Don't be pathetic. Own your words.
You have been very cruel to me since we first met.
When you ran straight into me?
That was a mistake.
Yes, one you have made no effort to correct, it seems. I seem to recall that you barreled into me later the same day.
No.
I don't hate you, Sister Hedwig. I simply find you tiresome. I am exhausted by what you represent.
I wish you would believe me when I say I'm not after your job. I have no interest in running the Abbey, or any Abbey for that matter.
Even if I did believe you, which I am not saying I do, that wouldn't comfort me much at all. Succession seems to be the Superior's plan for you, even if she hasn't told you.
I am the new chronicler. That's all.
Yet you seem to leave your job quite early each day.
I am not a terribly prolific writer. Not yet. This was one of the first times Angela hadn't had a retort ready to fire back at me. I was so surprised it almost knocked me off balance as much as a piercing reply would have. Anyway, for my part, I don't hate you. I am afraid of you, I think.
That's good. That means you have not yet abandoned all respect for authority.
How perfectly cruel of you to say. This is exactly what I meant when I said, why do you hate me?
And once again, I must say, I do not hate you. I hate your disregard for the natural order of things. I hate that, once again, I have been saddled with unruly children to rear as my own, because the Superior has no interest in doing it herself.
I am not a child.
You are a babe not 2 weeks out of the womb. You weren't alive in that cell, and choosing to break that seal is a grave sin all its own. By my estimation, you need my help more than anyone else here.
Then Then help me. I do not revel in my sins. I am not proud of them. What can I do to what can you offer me beyond venom?
Do you know what this place is, Hedwig? Linbarrow Tor is not a normal monastery. Surely you've noticed, even with your complete lack of worldly experience.
I am so glad I chose to give you Angela.
Yeah.
Of course, but
This is the last stop before the gates of hell. Do you think all of the sisters here ended up in this ruin of their own volition? Do you think there are an abundance of women in the world eager to take the veil and serve the Lord here? Make no mistake, you should be begging for my approval. You have emerged into a den of vipers, not a house of God. You shouldn't trust a word any of the sisters tell you. You should be wary of their intentions. Why, their behavior in the wake of the murder of one of their own should be evidence enough. I don't hate you, Sister Hedwig. I'm simply the only person here who cares enough not to lie to you. I have high expectations for your behavior. That is all. You, at the very least, have the potential to serve God with humility and grace on this hill. Not like the other lost women here. The criminals and the freaks. Christ spoke highly of the prostitutes and tax collectors only on the condition that they sinned no more. The sisters here, they believe they are owed salvation.
If that is true, Sister Angela, why
Spit it out.
why are you here?
Why indeed?
And with that, she brushed the last twig out of her habit, peered down her nose at me one last time, and left. How perfectly bewildering that woman was to me. Forgive me for being cross, but to this day I find her treatment of me beguiling. I had spent days wondering, did I deserve this? Was Angela a conduit through which God could punish me for the sins Angela rightfully pointed out to me? I still wonder that. In my calmer moments, I acquiesce to the idea. In my lowest moments, I almost relish it. But the truth of the matter is, every time I was presented with her maddening ability to pinprick me, to always find something wrong with me. Oh my, I'm doing it right now, aren't I? Ignore me. All is right in the world. I am back here in my cell, where I belong. I deserve every bit of ire I am recounting to you. It's just that in retelling the story, I must inhabit a previous version of myself to properly describe how I felt. I will try my best not to let the past and the present bleed together too much in the future. Angela huffed away after that cat. I decided I better head the opposite direction if I were to avoid any more unpleasantness. I walked back towards the rectory. The last of my mind's haze replaced the burning indignance. I would not say I was in a good mood, but I was certainly more alert than I had been for some time. There she is.
Splendid.
Hello, Sister Margaret. Sister Catherine with a K.
We were looking for you. What luck.
I told you, I told her to look for you, and I wanted to make sure she did.
Margaret has this very amusing idea that I'm a flake. Can you believe it? Anyway, we would like to cordially invite you to the Misericorde this evening.
That's right.
You have seemed all out of sorts recently, and a little birdie told me that Charity may have indicated that you were welcome.
Which you are, as it happens.
But you've been in such a state recently. Margaret got it into her head that you were perhaps waiting for a more direct invitation.
Which I actually suggested Catherine with a K extend several days before you even spoke with Charity about it, I should add.
Which I don't remember, but I would never accuse Margaret of lying. Hence, would you like to join us in the Misericorde tonight?
I am very grateful for the invitation. I hope you don't think I was moping around because of that. Although...
Wonderful. You knew it couldn't have been my fault.
Catherine with a K.
Margaret with an M.
Let her speak.
Of course.
Did Charity explain what happened after our conversation?
There was nothing else mentioned.
Oh, well... I looked over my shoulder and peered past the pair of sisters in front of me, just in case Angela was preparing to make another dramatic entrance. Sister Angela may have overheard the two of us speaking unfavorably about her.
Is that all?
No wonder she didn't say anything about it. Arguments with Angela happen all the time.
It's practically passé to mention.
No, you don't understand. She was extremely upset. It was horrible. You never forget your first. The first time she caught me in the pantry at night, she dragged me by my ear to the superior's office to wake her up to demand I be punished. Were you?
Of course not.
Soup mumbled something about sleep being important and shut the door. Honestly, I think it was meant more for Angela than me.
Angela has it in her head that I am responsible for the cat running around the abbey. And she will not stop bothering me about my broken door.
It is a bit creaky.
I am a busy woman. Besides, I can't work with my hands.
So, I shouldn't worry about Angela? No.
Not in the slightest.
I consider expanding my story.
I figured it out, by the way. I've been trying to secure a perfect voice for Catherine, and I finally figured it out. I finally got it. Hilda Goneril.
Oh, that's a fun one. I like that.
Yeah.
I considered expanding my story to include the encounter with Angela that I had just left, but I decided not to pursue the subject further. I was relieved to hear that I had some support in the matter. However, I didn't want to risk continuing to evoke Angela's name, lest she emerge from behind a corner to drop off the ceiling from that very moment. What does one actually do in the Misericorde? Drink?
Yes, there's a lot of wine.
Is that all? Wine, as I'm sure you're aware, is a staple of life in monasteries. So, this on its own is not exactly enticing. After all, there was practically an ocean of the stuff just below us. Better wine than we drink, usually, to be clear.
Wine that's made for the drinking, not just for drinking.
Oh, I see. There's also chess, music, if I'm feeling like breaking out the lute anyway.
We read and talk. It is an oasis of pleasure here in our boring little community.
Angela will not be attending tonight, by the way. Well then, I'd be delighted to join you.
Splendid.
I'm very sorry if you were feeling left out. I assure you I was not, but thank you all the same.
You really worry too much, Margaret. Well then, I will see you later.
The two excused themselves. Are you surprised that I agreed to attend with what plainly sound like a night of debauchery, gossip, and sin? Well, I suppose I surprised myself too. Although, as I'm sure you've guessed, I had an ulterior motive. A wine-soaked event would be a perfect opportunity to ask Catherine with a K about poor James. Tongues would be looser than usual, and my questioning might not be under quite such scrutiny. I explained all this to my superior, who pulled me aside after supper to ask if I had fulfilled my promise.
The Misericorde?
Yes, it seems like the best way for me to talk to Catherine with a K about it. It'll seem natural.
And it didn't feel natural at any other point you saw her today?
When she was giving...
When she was giving you this invitation, perhaps?
Okay. Margaret was with her.
I see. Well, I don't love the prospect, but as long as you get the result we need, I can't stop you.
Is there something wrong with the Misericorde?
It's a space with explicitly relaxed rules. To be honest, I'm surprised you aren't more vocally opposed.
Well, it's a rule unto itself, is it not? I cannot argue with tradition.
I see. You're a stickler, but not a spoil sport.
Something like that.
I can understand that, I suppose. The problem is, given that most rules around here are quite lax, the bar is raised a bit higher in there, I think.
Angela certainly cares about the rules.
Well, she's the prioress, so that's her job. Although, she might go a little too far in the other direction for my taste.
Well, what is your ideal picture of this place, then? I'd be curious to know.
That's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking.
The superior swirled the cup she held in her hand and looked off into the middle distance behind me.
It would be much the same, truthfully. The buildings wouldn't be in such disrepair. I wouldn't have to suffer such direct insubordination on a regular basis, but I certainly wouldn't rule by the sword. That's the trouble with the Misericorde as it exists now. I have no quarrel with the concept of an easement in the dam, but I'm not sure if there is much of a dam currently.
What do you mean?
Children should be expected to have secrets. Towns need inns. The workers in the field, the lowliest peasants, deserve their holidays. Precepts must be upheld, but I think they can only be upheld if people are allowed at least the illusion of breaking them.
That is surprising to say the least.
You disagree, then? That's understandable.
Well, for one, are we not nuns? Forging earthly delights is our strength and purpose, surely.
It would seem we have reversed positions here. Flipped the chessboard around the other way, as it were.
I sent the screenshot to you when I was first playing through the game. I love it so much.
I don't remember, but I'm sure you did. What is she, some kind of battler or something?
I love it. Well...
In my ideal abbey, everyone is content. They do their tasks and enrich their lives and serve as vessels of prayer. Vassals too. And then they are allowed a brief respite, so that they do not become overwhelmed or discouraged by their work.
I spent my whole life alone in a cell with my work, and not once did I complain. The superior tilted her head in a manner that reminded me of the cat I'd seen Angela chasing earlier that day.
Did you never dream of leaving? Was there nothing in your books that you wished you could see for yourself?
But, yeah, if it isn't obvious, the author of this story is a very big fan of Umineko. It was one of their biggest influences for the game. So, yeah.
Not surprised.
Never.
I think you mentioned that at some point. I don't remember.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure there was a game that you were talking about that said was inspired by that.
Yeah.
It could very well have been.
Never. The writing was enough.
You must have a truly vivid imagination.
I'm not sure I do. I just never needed anything else.
You never sang to yourself? Invented little games?
Well,
I know the one in the flashback doesn't count.
I did have a few reading games, now that you mention it, but...
Perhaps that is how we arrive at an understanding then. You were perfectly content in the world as you experienced it. But you still needed to come up with something of your own. Something different. That's the ideal purpose of the Misericorde. The tavern, the arena, and so on.
I find that very hard to swallow. Would you say the same for prostitution? The superior made a sneering gesture that took me aback.
You are flailing your way out of check here, I'm afraid. There's no need to grasp at such extreme examples. Of course I don't feel that way about whoring. And don't retort by asking if I find whores beyond redemption then, by the way.
I wasn't that... I wouldn't...
Wouldn't make any sense. You're quite right.
She finished her drink in silent satisfaction. I steamed for a minute. I'm afraid that she was actually entirely correct in her assumption that pivoted the conversation back to the scriptural understanding was my intended reply.
I find the Misericorde in its current state unseemly. The rules here aren't being followed outside of it, let alone inside it. I worry about what the sisters could be up to in there. It ceases to be an easement if the whole plane is flooded.
Well, I'll be careful. I'm sure one night with the others won't utterly corrupt me.
See that it doesn't. I suppose it can't hurt for you to experience it for yourself and report back to me exactly how founded my assumptions are.
If you're that worried about it, why not just disallow it?
It's an expected function of a Benedictine monastery. Besides, I have no interest in making these women respect me less.
Would they respect you less if you took it away? Or would they respect you more? If you showed that you had the power...
I dare say I'd be the next one found without the head.
I shuddered. While I was never completely free from fear, direct confrontation with the reality of my situation still unmoored me. It made me feel like I was being watched. Please don't say such things.
I am simply making a point. As I've said before, I must play a very cautious strategy in my position. Speaking of, would you like to play a game?
What is that a reference? Is it Saw? It's probably Saw. The change of subject that it was a relief, I must admit. We whittled away some time playing chess. I was not very good at it yet, I must confess. Nonetheless, I appreciated the opportunity to fill my mind with something beyond visions of blood and guts.
Neat.
Hedwig will be joining us tonight.
Oh, really? Lucky her!
We had just left the rectory after the evening meal. There was apparently still some time left before the Misericorde's door would open. I had a little bit of time to while away preparing myself for a night of the lion's den. Don't make such a fuss about it. Why not?
We're just happy to have you.
Well, I am happy to hear it. But nonetheless, you're making me nervous.
You'll have so much fun! Such a special occasion, honestly.
Special?
Well, yes. Isn't this going to be your first time ever going to a social event?
Careful. Don't break her.
Sorry.
I felt like I was about to faint. Moira was completely correct, of course. Never in my life had I ever been to anything more sociable than meals at the rectory, and those had been overwhelming even enough on their own. I'm going to do my best to have a good time. That's all that matters. It'll be fun. Well, what are we going to do anyway?
I suppose we don't really do anything specific. It's very fluid.
We've got a chessboard. I think Catherine with a K mentioned that there's music sometimes. I'll bring my lute. You have your own lute? Yes. Catherine II with a C gave it to me ages ago. One day, we should ask Catherine with a K if she could nick a portative for the evening rather than just disabling it. That would be fun to mess around with. I wish you wouldn't fiddle with Superior's things. It's all in good fun. The soup knows. I'm not so sure.
Hedwig, you're getting too nervous again.
No. Moira had seemed so carefree ever since the day she broke down while talking to me in the dormitories. I was jealous of her ability to have that be her one emotional outburst on such a horrible subject. It was as if she'd simply been able to drain the abscess and heal the wound. I wish that I could do the same. Unfortunately, every one of my fears and miseries seemed to linger and fester within each other. If my head was a deceased limb, it would simply have to lop it off. The sun was just starting to set. I decided to go for a walk in the garden. It was one of the best places for me to clear my head that didn't involve drawing a bath. Provided I didn't run into Angela, at least. But what were the odds of that happening again? I was determined to make real, tangible progress tonight. The Superior was right to be frustrated with the lack of momentum. The poor young man had begged me to do something to secure his freedom, and then I had slipped into a dark spell for days. I had been selfish. It wasn't going to be impossible. Things weren't so bad. I even had a clue to follow up on. It would be easy to ask Catherine with a K about the cloak when we'd both had a few cups of wine. There was nothing to worry about. I was genuinely interested, after all. What would I tell Catherine with a K if she asked how I knew about the cloak? Hedwig. Oh, hello. I want to show you something. You've gotta come see. Very well. Darcy scurried around the bend towards the cloister before I could finish my reply. I had to hike up my robe to keep up with her without tripping on the stairs. She was leading me to the dorms, it seemed. Whatever she had to show me, I could not guess. I am sorry about the mess. I lost an important mushroom and I have been turning the place upside down looking for it. She had ushered me out of her room into the dormitory. It was a stark contrast from my own. There were bits and bobs everywhere. Haphazardly stacked books, bottles of various sizes, both empty and full. Little scraps of paper, plants, and little pots. Darcy had certainly made the space hers. I've been working on this for a while and I think you might be interested. She was standing in the front of a small cauldron that was full of a thin, clear liquid that smelled like wet grass. You have been sick and sad a lot lately, and I thought, well, maybe I can do something about that. Do something? Did you make this for me? It's a little something I'm fiddling with. Will make you feel better, maybe. What's in it? I didn't want to sound rude, but I couldn't help but think there might have been if I drank something Darcy had brewed. It has some St. John's wort and some sage and some water from the hills. I boiled it all together with some things I forgot. It has mint for flavor though. Mentha? That's right. She ladled some of the liquid into a little bottle. The whole setup was a little precarious. I lunged forward to stop the wobbling cauldron and plummeting to the floor, and Darcy knocked it onto her with her sleeve. Oh, steady on me. Good thing I was here. Anyway, try some. Darcy, is this quite alright for me? What do you mean? I have a frail constitution, and this is very, 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 very light. Do not worry. You think I could drink this without any trouble? If I did it right, it will be in fact lessen your troubles. That is very kind of you. I hope I'm not being rude. The Bible often reminds us to remain sober-minded. You are not sober-minded. You are sad a lot and lonely as well. I was very worried while you were not talking very much. And I am not very good at talking, so I did not want to butt in while you were saying precious few things. But it still made me sad to see that so I wondered what I could do to help. This will help you remain sober-minded. This world is strange, and there is much to be sad about, even here of course. But there's little better way to face the sadness than to be prepared. That is all this is. She had a little vessel out to me. Well, I took it from her and gingerly took a sip. It was surprisingly thick, although it didn't taste as bad as I imagined. Maybe the mentha helped after all. Darcy beamed at me and took the bottle back from me, filling it up and closing it with a stopper before passing it back to me. Some more for later if you fancy. I don't feel any different. It will take a little bit, but I am sure you will relax you before midnight. That would be nice. Will you be joining us in the Misericorde as well? Not tonight. I will be busy with other things. The odds were increasing that I would have to deal with Angela in a social setting that night. The idea was not relaxing the slightest, and actively worked against whatever Darcy's potion might have been doing to me at that very moment. You will have fun. You will feel like a real member of the Abbey after tonight, I reckon. This is not going to be some sort of hazing, is it? Goodness, no. That was the pranks. Right. I got you good. True enough. True enough. She smiled at me once more, and then ushered me out of her dorm. I do not mean to rush you, but I have some work to do. Oh, not at all. Thank you for the tincture. I hope it serves you well. I gave a little nod of thanks and hurried out of my room. Hello, game lover. Thanks for stopping by. Darcy is a great character. I really like her. She's one of my favorites.
There's so many people today. It's a real party.
Yeah. There was yet some time to while away before it would be appropriate to head to the Misericorde. I decided I would hole up in my dorm and calm myself with some reading. A splendid idea, until I realized I currently had no books in the room, save for one. I really should have asked the superior to move my collection out of the cell and into my dormitory. Medea simply wouldn't do it for now. I felt a little apologetic. I, of course, still appreciated the gift Catherine with a C had given to me by transcribing the play for me, but I was not sure that it was something would help me feel any less tense at this moment. I needed something like Ecclesiastes, not a story about a pagan woman murdering her children. I lay down to the bed and held a little bottle Darcy had given me up in the air. I rotated it in my fingers and stared at it. There were no words on it, but I was still trying to read it, I think, if that makes any sense at all. I could feel the cool glass getting warmer between my fingertips. If I ran my thumbs over the cork, I could sense just how much rougher the cork was than the bottle. The longer I did it, the easier it would be to notice the sounds that the bottle was made as well. A gentle sloshing the liquid inside, and the way the stopper brushed against my skin. It absorbed me utterly. I wondered if perhaps Darcy's concoction was working after all. After several minutes, I was so engrossed in the patterns of the light dancing through the dark green bottle that I scarcely had room in my mind to think about anything else. Do you ever do that? Feel an object every which way until it feels like everything? I don't have any more of that tincture in me, but I still try it from time to time. Lectitio Divina, the sacred act of rereading and repeating a single line of scripture over and over until it almost feels meaningless, until the words are just sounds and the letters are just shapes. That is how I spend many of my days and nights in my cell, breaking through all stray thoughts and bypassing all frivolous interpretations of the word, and simply living inside the true meaning of it, researching understanding through feeling rather than language. For a moment, I was in that bottle.
We are getting started in the Misericorde now. I just thought I'd tell you as early as possible, in case you planned on being fashionably late.
Coming! The clarity that I had been enjoying burst like a bubble, and I had thrown right back into the nervous anticipation. I rose from the bed and did my best to straighten out my robe. While doing so, the tincture fell from my trembling fingers. Luckily, it didn't shatter. It bounced once and then rolled around the cold floor, making a cold, twinkling noise.
Are you all right in there?
Yes, so sorry, I'm just dropped something. I scrambled to pick up the bottle up, and unsure if it was some contraband I would get in trouble for holding if Catherine with a K, or worse, Angela, saw. Plus, I was so nervous. The tincture's now safely in my hand. I uncorked it and downed the second dose. It was cool, pleasant, and minty, and I could practically feel myself physically relaxing. It was like the cold concoction was replacing the black bile that had ran in my blood with something else. Something much more agreeable. I slapped my own cheeks to bring out some color and shivered all over. I was ready. I opened the door to meet Catherine with a K, who was leaning against the door frame, examining her fingernails.
You look significantly less terrible than the first time I collected you like this.
I feel quite good, actually.
Hold still.
She stood up straight and licked her thumb as she had once before. This time I was prepared. She rubbed it against my forehead, undoubtedly attending to some wayward bit of hair poking out from underneath my cap.
There we are. Not bad. We'll make a little princess out of you yet.
I simply smiled. Catherine turned on her heel and strode out of the dorms, and I followed close behind into the hall. As we passed the library, the door opened a crack.
Is it time already? Indeed it is.
Are you coming tonight?
Not tonight. I'm very busy.
That's a shame.
You can tell me all about it the next time you're here to chronicle. Have fun.
I suddenly remembered something important I had been meaning to ask Eustace. In my miserable stupor, I had completely forgotten to ask her about Darcy's vision. I leaned forward to speak quietly, aware that others behind me were watching. Still, it wasn't as if Darcy's visions were a secret. Oh, before you go, I was meaning to ask, could I read some of your notes about Darcy's vision sometime in the near future?
No.
Really? I'd find them ever so interesting. She said I should ask you about them.
And I'm saying no. Have a nice night, Hedwig.
She closed the door firmly.
It is rather a pity she's not coming. She can be quite fun with a knife of wine in her. Anyway. In here.
Catherine with a K opened the door to the Misericorde and opened it for me, ushering me as if she were deckaned on a gangway. Inside the room there was a round table, rather different from the ones in the rectory. It was clearly quite old. It was full of pockmarks and dents. Some parts of it were shiny, but others were quite dull. Various mismatched chairs were haphazardly placed around the table, as well as a couple next to the fireplace in the far end of the room. There were no windows. Currently, light was being provided by the hearth, as well as a large candelabra in the corner nearest to the window.
Well, here we are.
Hello, Hedwig.
Oh dear. Welcome, welcome.
There are two other figures I could see tending the fire. The smaller one on the left, I deduced, was Flora. The one on the right, unfortunately...
Angela! Goodness, it's been a while since I've seen you in here. Yes, well... Some of us have better things to do than spend every possible night reveling. Oh, good! We're getting prickly before any drinks have been poured. This should be fun. Give it a rest, you two. Surely you can be nice to each other for one night. Of course. We wouldn't want to leave Hedwig with the wrong impression, would we? I agree. We can't let her leave without recognizing what a shrew you can be. Catherine! What? I was agreeing with dear Sister Angela.
Can we at least declare a temporary truce? For Hedwig's sake.
I am willing. Why are you even here? Now you're just being childish. No, I'm just curious. Are you intending to spoil things for the newcomer? Am I spoiling things currently? Oh, here we go. You're very good at this game. Ah, hell.
I jumped. It barely registered with me at first, but the exasperated growl had come from Sister Charity.
You're both as bad as each other. Stuff it for one night. You can bicker on your own time, but me and everyone else are here to have a nice, relaxing evening. And you're bloody well not gonna ruin it. Sit down. Shut your gobs. Drink and make merry. Or else. It's lovely to see you here, Hedwig.
I smiled. I wasn't as rattled as I probably should have been. Maybe it was Darcy's concoction, or perhaps seeing Catherine and Angela at each other's throats had awoken a slightly unsavory sense of curiosity within me. I'm happy to be here. That's good. This will be fun. Right, Catherine with a K?
That's right.
I must admit, even with my newfound courage, and despite how amusing it was watching her spar with Catherine with a K, Angela's presence made me slightly uneasy. Since only half of the sisters could occupy the Misericorde, I had been hoping, perhaps assuming, given her personality, that the odds of missing her were in my favor. Alas, alas.
Marta and I brought up some of the good wine earlier, and I believe Darcy is cooking something especially for the meal.
The meal? We just ate. It'll be a bit later on. Besides, you'll want some.
I should resist, but the call of red meat is too strong.
I opened my mouth to protest. The rule of Saint Benedict strictly prohibited red meat. But before I remembered that in this room, The rule had no say. Is that a Catholic rule? I thought it was only Jewish. Or is Jewish pork?
I think it's specifically for nuns or monks or people who take specifically Benedictine vows.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It wouldn't be all monks. It'd only be Benedictine monks.
Oh.
Or nuns or any people of that order.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know for certain, but I know there's definitely nothing against red meat for the lay people. So
A touch circuitous, if I must say so myself.
I also don't know how to pronounce that.
I think it was supposed to be circuit.
Circuitus? Yeah.
I don't know.
I think like Circuitus, but I don't know.
A rule
Just a
states
guess.
that nothing should be preferred over the holy office, the works we did and the hours we observed. And yet, here this place was, offering a sanctuary for everyone to do something but prefer worldly things. At this point, I had lost count of all the infractions Abby had made on the rule of St. Benedict. Poor Darcy. She's really very busy, isn't she? I think Eustace or Moira is helping tonight.
And it's a bit less complicated than supper. It's just meat and heat, more or less, isn't it? I am sure there is an art to it, as there is to all things.
Wise as always. Charity then ushered me to sit down at the table. There were several mugs and a very large wineskin sitting on the middle of the table. There was also a full cask next to the table on the floor that I had not noticed previously. It was a little smaller than the fat barrels I had seen stacked in the cellar, but nevertheless, that's a lot of wine.
And thank God for that. You have plenty of us here to help finish it, don't you worry.
Yes, don't feel like you need to drink at all.
I'll have what she doesn't have. You are going to watch yourself. I won't hear the end of it from the superior if you lose your head. If you go on a bender.
Margaret patted Charity on the shoulder and then took a seat. I could see the shelf in the corner of the room, near the fireplace. It was rather unkempt and loaded with various mismatched objects. I could see books of different sizes stacked haphazardly atop each other, little chess pieces, and a lute fighting for space. There were bits of fabric and what looked like a full robe stuffed in between the bits and bobs as well. So, are there any plans for the evening?
I hope not.
She's off screen, I love it.
A little bit of everything, dear.
But most importantly, a lot of nothing.
That's the idea, anyway.
I see. I did a lot of nothing by myself in my cell. I miss it dearly, but I was curious what those women found so exciting about it.
That's the best bit of any holiday, isn't it? Doing nothing. You're not wrong, dear Flora, but don't tell the superior I said so.
Catherine with a K picked up the wineskin and began depositing drink into the cups.
Now, make sure your elders get some before it's gone. I wouldn't dream of depriving you, Charity.
Catherine handed her the next mug.
That's right. Catherine is always grateful to not be the eldest in the group. In the room, even.
That was actually quite good.
I was merely surprised that Angela was able to come up with something so witty.
Pour me next. I get the feeling I'm going to need it. Just a small one for me to start, I think.
Nonsense.
She handed me a full mug.
Oh, are you going in strict order of age? She must be. I haven't gotten a drink yet. Hedwig is younger than I am, so no. Bold of you to admit.
Yeah, not as biting the second time.
Charity got hers first because she is our beloved and respected elder. Margaret got second, since she asked so nicely. Hedwig was next, because she is a new guest, and would have been second if Margaret hadn't requested so forcefully.
Sorry, Hedwig. No offense taken.
Next. Oh, I don't know. Why not Adela? There you are. I, very graciously, will go last as I am pouring the drinks. Which leaves Flora and Angela, which, let's see. I will give Flora hers first, to prove once and for all that I am not discriminating against her youth. I only hope that Angela will accept this decision and not see it as a slight against her. I assure her there is no such ulterior motive. Can you just give us the fucking wine? Language.
She finished pouring the drinks and passed them to Flora and Angela, neither of whom looked particularly amused. Margaret was thoroughly enjoying herself, though.
Thank you. Indeed. Now, Hedwig, tell us what you think of this wine. It's a fair bit nicer than the stuff we typically have through the day. It has real flavor.
I took a tentative sip and was surprised to find that I recognized the taste instantly. Oh, I've had this before, actually.
How?
Oh, dear. I couldn't really say, actually, but I'm sure someone must have brought it to me in a meal at one point. Perhaps on Christmas? Oh, yes. That sounds like something Catherine II might do.
She knew her wines, that one. She knew more about it than most here do, yes. Are you and Marta still fighting about the sherry? I came here to do a job. I have nothing against Mr. Marta, but I wish she would let me do it. I know. I can't do anything about that, though.
Adela huffed and nodded, sipping her drink.
This is good. Not as good as I can help make, but it is very good.
What's different about sherry, Sister Adela?
Don't get her started. It is a better fermentation process. The end product is sweeter.
It's hard to believe, given what I tasted. I mean, I do believe you just, you know.
It should not be tasted halfway through being made. Does the painter show their client their work before they have painted a face? Does the chef deliver a half-cooked meal?
She's got a point. Of course, I'm just impressed.
I was asked to come here and help shepherd a batch of sherry. The first one was a complete disaster because instructions were not followed. Now I am trying to correct this with the second batch, and I am facing the same resistance. Marta is very protective of her work. I think she does not like me. I think she does not want some Iberian dirtying up her project.
She stuck her finger out into her drink and violently wiggled it around to emphasize her point. I had to duck and to dodge flecks of wine.
I promise you, it isn't as bad as all that. She's just, I think it might be exactly as bad as that. She has no other reason to get in my way. She treats me like a child too. It might just be an age thing. I very much doubt it. She does not see me as Spanish. Margaret, Marta doesn't treat you any differently than anyone else, does she? Oh, crumbs.
No, it's fine. It's just that if I say no, that might not actually indicate what you're hoping it does. Cherry looked as if she was trying to decode this particularly difficult puzzle. Margaret smiled, perhaps humorlessly, and sipped her drink. Have you seen any more ghosts, Hedwig? Ghost? Oh, no, I have not.
I feel like ghost talk around here has dropped significantly recently. Hedwig's goat-hating swordsman excluded, of course. Thank goodness for that. It's all rubbish. Oh, I don't know about that. You don't get to be my age without seeing a few queer things here and there. I've seen some ghosts. There's at least one on this floor, I reckon. Yes. I have heard them too. It's a shame Darcy isn't here. She always has plenty to say on this subject. Well, you can ask her when she brings the beef. Perhaps out in the hall, where the rest of us won't be subject to such nonsense. I seem to recall somebody asking for an escort to the privy at night, just in case she encountered something. That's just common wisdom. That has nothing to do with spirits or fairies or any such fantasy. There are bears or strange men.
Bear?
Bears? Yes, bears.
There are bears around here? No.
Absolutely not. Not that I've ever seen. I've seen a bear up close once, but that was before I ended up here. I have too. They are very cute, but quite dangerous.
At any rate, there are no bears anywhere near here. They don't live in England, or Scotland, or Ireland.
I cannot believe I am being treated like a fool for worrying about bears, whilst you are all entertaining the notion of ghosts wandering our halls. Well, if they don't live here... Not naturally, of course, but kings and nobles and other rich men keep them for sport. They import them from Bohemia. So, you think some nobleman is going to sick a bear on you while you're on your way to the toilet? You are trying far too hard to make me sound hysterical. Bears are strong and crafty creatures. One could easily slip loose and escape into the woods. It only takes two to proliferate. You cannot tell me this has not happened.
There was nothing but silence for a moment. Then, suddenly, everyone erupted with laughter.
All I'm saying is I need a... I don't guess you wouldn't use a tier list, but I need some kind of chart to show which of the nuns would rather run into a bear in the woods or a strange man.
Eustace could handle it. She could fight infinite ducks. She could handle a bear.
What is the conversion rate of ducks to bears? I would assume that at least there is a finite amount of ducks that equals 1 bears, so because of how infinity works, Eustace can handle infinity bears as well. It would not even be close. But hey, that's just the game theory. Bears? Proliferating. Watch out!
They cannot stand women pissing at night.
Grow up. You must admit, Angela, it sounds a bit ridiculous.
Far-fetched at the least.
It is nonsense. Angela, I am surprised. I had no idea you were worried about this. Well, I apologize for not wanting to risk being torn in half by a vicious beast or violated by some murderous cur at night. After all, only half of these things have happened here, so why worry about either? Angela?
Not in here.
No? I think there's no better place to talk about it.
Silence came back. Do you think she can fight 5 bear-sized ducks or 5 duck-sized bears?
I think she could definitely take 5 duck-sized bears. I'm not sure about 5 bear-sized ducks.
Yeah.
I guess it would depend on how big the bear is.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't think Eustace is a particularly large girl. I think it would just take like 2 to crush her.
The silence came back. This time, it felt like the very air had been sucked out of the already stuffy room. Everyone was looking in different directions. I could hear heavy, deep breaths. Time for meat! Adela stood up first and strode over to the door, unlatching it and holding it open so that Darcy could lumber in carrying a massive platter of food. Everyone sort of shuffled awkwardly to move the cups and wineskin out of the way. Darcy plunked the platter down and dusted her hands off with a satisfied expression on her face. You have beef and lamb and a bit of pork here, coated in special sauce and cooked to perfection over a roaring fire by yours truly.
But no goat for some reason.
Why is everybody so glum? We're just hungry, Darcy. Thank you. Darcy's nigh impervious smile flickered just a little. All right, then. Well, enjoy. Aren't you gonna have some? Oh, I'm not allowed. Not outside of the Misericorde, no, but you're here now. Even seeing Darcy's mouth twitch was heartbreaking enough that I felt compelled to do whatever I could to make her feel better. Luckily, she took to my logic quite well. I suppose I am, aren't I?
There are too many people in here. Oh, for Pete's sake, Angela! You go and stand outside while she eats them!
Angela's chair scraped violently against the stone floor. I couldn't help but wince.
She can stay. Have a good night, everyone. A touch dramatic, Sister Angela? Edwig?
Yes, Sister Angela?
Nothing. Not now. I won't spoil your evening.
With that, she swept herself out of the room. All eyes turned to Darcy, who was blissfully munching on a small piece of meat hanging off a bone. Oh, I couldn't possibly stay, sorry. Busy tonight. She finished her snack and then licked her fingers. Enjoy. Have a good night, Darce.
Indeed.
Darcy excused herself from the room. Margaret followed behind her to latch the door shut again, and then turned around to face the rest of the sisters. Well,
Well, should one of us flag Eustace down, perhaps? She is also busy tonight. Hedwig and I stopped in on her That sentence gave me a stroke. Hold on. Hedwig and I stopped in on her on the way here.
Moira? Marta?
Marta's probably asleep by now.
Well, it's one of those two. Or the suit.
Could you imagine? Where is Moira at the moment? I believe she's usually in the library or reading in her dorm at this hour. She'll be in her room then. Eustace seemed in no mood for visitors. Flora, would you be a dare? I literally just started eating. I'm only asking you to go down the hall. The food will still be here when you get back. Will it? I've seen you lot eat before. Now! Picky little. I'm going.
This was certainly not as relaxing I had been led to believe. That being said, I was still feeling surprisingly confident. I think, perhaps, I was even finding some relief in the fact that this particular spat had unfolded without me in the center of it. In fact, I was barely involved in the kerfuffle at all. Charity forced a smile.
Well, let's not let things get cold.
There was a murmur of approval among the others. We all moved into chairs slightly closer to the overflowing platter of sugared meats.
I do not understand why Angela is so cruel. I am positive she has gotten worse as well. She's always been an insufferable coxcomb. Must we drag it all out? She's left. No use quarreling with someone who's not even here.
To be fair, Charity, Hedwig is here because Angela overheard you two grousing about her.
Yes, well, that's different. It's not fair if you get to have all the fun. Well, I was under the impression that Angela wanted to come tonight to apologize to Hedwig for her behavior.
That does seem a bit far-fetched.
No, it's true. I apologized to her for my outburst, and she had agreed to apologize to Hedwig for her roughness.
Is that true, Sister Charity? This did stretch credulity, but I was curious. Angela's barbed words had wrapped around me so tightly, even the slightest bit of slack was a relief.
Of course. On condition that you also apologized, I think. A fresh start for all of us. I have nothing to apologize to that woman for.
Well...
Not a thing.
Well, if she wants an apology, I'm obliged to hear what she has to say, and I do my best to make amends. Catherine's upper lip curled harder than I had ever seen it curve before.
She will hang whatever complaint she has over your head for the rest of your life, apology or no. Believe me, I've been there.
Really?
Oh, yes. I've done that song and dance for her. She just enjoys watching people squirm.
How cruel.
She wasn't always like this. I do not care.
It's true, though. It's a shame. What happened?
If I knew, things might look a little different. It certainly has gotten worse since Catherine II with the C passed on. That's true for all of us. And she got along with Angela worse than I do.
This was difficult to imagine, but it was very interesting indeed. Why is that? It's actually a bit funny.
I remember the two of them getting along very well, to be honest. They were friendly at one point, but I mostly remember them clashing.
So, Hedwig, I'd mentioned to you before that Catherine II with a C loved foisting projects and hobbies on us. I remember. Well, for a while it was...
Should we say this?
For a while it was body literature. Body what?
Fabliaux, as it were.
You mean love poems? Romantic writing? No. Well, perhaps. Have you really never read any? I'm afraid I had nothing quite so ribald in my cell.
They can certainly be romantic, although I think they are more concerned with the, fruits of romance. A particular part of romance. The intercourse.
The fucking. I nearly choked on a bit of lamb I was eating. You were all reading that sort of thing? Here?
Oh dear. Her wheels are coming off.
It's really quite common for monks to write this sort of thing. It helps ease tensions, I suppose.
And Catherine II thought, why not us? It might be a healthy exercise.
For what purpose? For the fun of it.
Purely for the thrill. God knows we're not allowed to have any fun here.
That's not true. Not that kind.
Hedwig theory, it really is not that strange. After a few more weeks here, you'll probably realize just how little there is to do. It was something new and entertaining the girls were interested in.
I understand, but fornicato and yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes, we've all studied a bit of the Bible here and there, actually. Or whatever
Sorry.
that was.
Sorry, I just don't see how writing that sort of thing is appropriate for women of our station. The sisters all looked at each other with slightly concerned expressions. The confidence I had brought into the room with me was rapidly draining. I felt like I had accidentally cast myself as an outsider to be scorned once again. Well, we endeavored to keep most of it in here. It is the Misericorde, after all. We're eating red meat. The rule of St. Benedict might wane in here, but it sounds more like purely biblical instructions being broken.
Hedwig, the gentlest and most pious monk I ever had the pleasure of working with years and years ago now, used to write beer recipes in the margins of his Bibles. And I remember meeting him for the first time delivering food to a village that had come down with the plague. He told the most outrageous jokes I'd ever heard in my life, and I could hardly walk from laughing. All while risking ourselves to help the diseased and dying. Do we deserve hell for a few bawdy japes?
Well, this was not an argument worth having.
It depends on the jokes, I would think.
Everyone else laughed. I was stunned by Catherine the K's ability to say the exact words I wanted to say with the exact opposite meaning.
Tell us one.
Yes, go on.
Well, alright. As long as Hedwig is quite alright with it.
I smiled meaninglessly. I felt like a bear showing off my teeth. Please, don't hold back on my account.
A trial by fire for dear Hedwig. Very well, very well. Here it is. He told me about a nun he had worked with before who had been a midwife, much like myself. Before she joined her convent, she had been assisting her lady with a particularly tough birth. The poor thing just could not get out. The midwife took a look between her lady's legs, and the lady said, "Oh, what if it comes out of the other hole?" I forget which road my husband took.
The others erupted in raucous laughter. Catherine with a K was practically doubled over. I don't get it. Think about it. What do roads have to do with it?
Babes typically come out of the, you know.
Yes, that much I know, thank you. I actually wasn't sure if you would, so that's a relief.
I also wasn't sure.
Is that in the Bible? I am capable of a fair amount of deduction on my own. I may have spent a long time in my cell, but I am not a complete fool. That's fair, that's fair.
So, you know a rough outline of how it all works.
Yes? Well?
There you go then. All the pieces are within your grasp.
Oh no.
She got there!
How does that, why? How does that work?
No, that is the joke.
So the joke is that her husband was quite stupid and or that's very possible, but that's not the thrust of it, no.
Think harder, Sister Hedwig.
I was rescued by the sound of the door swinging open.
Found her.
Flora is still being off screen.
But on the other side this time. Hello, everyone! You ate all that while I was gone? There is still plenty of food. What took you so long? Couldn't find her. Sorry for giving you the runaround. I ran into Darcy and was chatting with her, and then I went for a walk in the garden. Could Angela not make it? She got her fill of the attention she wanted.
Let's not get back into it.
No, I could talk about it all night. That's the problem. Fair enough. Well, now that we're back up to fighting strength, what to do? Should we play a game? I would love to play some chess.
Later. I'm not feeling particularly strategic yet. She reached for her wineskin and poured herself a generous refill. I'll get there, I'm sure.
Well, since Angela isn't here to complain about them any longer, how about some ghost stories? You'll like that, Hedwig.
Right. While navigating through my personal doldrums for the past few days, I had completely forgotten what my reputation among the sisters currently was. Not only am I a mousy, prudish, trembling little creature, an estimation I could at least agree with, I had stumbled into giving off the impression of a spirit-chasing prankster. It did not suit me.
Ooh, well, I don't know. They give me the shivers. That's the point. Precisely. I will tell you all my story. Oh, must we talk about this? I was hoping we could all talk about something a little more, fun? Oh, but this is fun. Oh dear. It was just this summer that I decided to take in some fresh air atop the Abbey wall. I wandered through halls I was not familiar with, trying to find the stairs. All alone in a mysterious portion of the Abbey, I found the door I was looking for. When I saw the tail end of another robe in front of me, I pursued the unknown figure, when I emerged into the light of day, there was not a soul to be seen. Huh? Fascinating. And this was in broad daylight?
Maybe the sun blinded you.
This does seem a touch, flimsy.
Come on, Margaret. You're smarter than this. It could have been a secret passage. You were the one who's talking all about secret passages.
Maybe she wants to keep her secret passages hidden from everyone else.
Everyone except Hedwig? Why would she trust Hedwig and not everyone else? I feel like she would at least tell the others the existence of secret passages, even if she doesn't tell them every secret passage.
I know what Wrong, that was Charity. I know what I saw. At first a person was there, and then that person was not there. That's a terrible ghost story. Oh, is it? Then perhaps you would like to share a better one? Sure. I've got one. I saw someone outside the Superior's window late at night. That's all, I guess. There was no one else in the room. Just a creepy figure in the bushes.
Does that really count as a story?
It absolutely does not. No panache whatsoever. Oh, I forgot to mention they had, like, horns and really scary glowing eyes. Incredible. Oh no!
That is a little scarier. Maybe build a little suspense first, though.
Whatever.
Good night, Air King.
Good night. I think adding those details just makes the story more unbelievable. Why were you in the Superior's office at night, Laura? Yes, speaking of unbelievable details, that door locks tight. And how would you know that? Look, she took my charcoal away because I was scribbling with it during service, okay? Enough! Let me weave you all a tale of true terror. Look out, everyone. She's gonna tell us how old she really is.
Laura, be nice. Some of us were saving that exact joke for whenever Charity spoke up next.
How now? I'm not too proud to be honest about my age. I'm 65 and quite happy with my station.
Of course. Well, I can always wait until Marta tries to tell a ghost story.
We have a rough estimate for her, at least. Marta was probably there when the white ship sank.
Everyone else guffawed. I might have joined in, to be nakedly truthful.
But now, my tale. I was approaching these very doors late one night. I had been for a nighttime stroll, and the torches had just been lit. The wind was such that they kept flickering. It was difficult to see, and strange shadows danced across the floor. Suddenly, I realized that one of the shadows in front of me was no shadow at all. And not only that, I swear to you that when I bravely took one step forward, I saw the face of Death himself. Well, have I sufficiently rattled you all?
Not bad.
Masterful, Sister Catherine. I cannot pretend otherwise. When was this, Catherine? Oh, I don't know the exact date. A month, perhaps 2 months ago. That might have been me. What? Impossible. I do seem to remember running into you, like, in the hall one night, when the torches were flickering in the wind like that. If that is true, why didn't you say hello? I tried, but you had already run away. Well, fancy that. This not. No, I think this was probably a different night. Well, that's the most believable one yet. Aside from mine.
You've been quiet. You've been a bit quiet, Hedwig. Do you have a good one to share? Me? Oh, no, I've just been so captivated by all of yours so far.
Hedwig's ghost story is one I won't soon forget, though. She conjures up quite an image. An excellent skill for a chronicler. Too right.
It's nothing, really. I hope none of them had read any of my actual decidedly sparse writing yet.
Well, if Hedwig is passing, Margaret?
Hedwig's heard mine. I was helping clean up the kitchen one evening. Darcy had finished up, but there was a pot I wanted to give another good scouring before putting it away. So, there I was, all alone in the workshop, when I heard a strange sound. The light had started to fade, and I hadn't thought to bring a candle. The fading light of dusk through the window was all I had. I crept towards where I thought I heard the sound. I saw a pair of eyes. Not only that, there was another creature present as well. One with a terrible visage. All I could make out was a hideous maw and some truly evil eyes. I hightailed it out of there, I have to confess.
Goodness. That is an upsetting story. In the kitchen? Crumbs!
I frowned. Margaret had told me a variation of this story in the chapel. He seemed to be gathering some embellishments for this larger audience.
What do you think you saw?
Well, if I had to hazard a guess, perhaps 2 demons having a meeting of some sort?
A meeting? What about?
I don't know. Perhaps they were arguing about who to eat first.
Ah! No! How gruesome! Now you're having it on.
Maybe. But I did see them. That much is true.
The one with the big horrible teeth. It could have just been a bar guest. A what? The big dog? That's the one. Although dog isn't quite an apt description. It's a truly terrible creature that hunts old fields and old moors. Always stalking around and hunting people who wander late at night. It's not quite a hound, more of I don't rightly know. A mix of a dog and a goblin, perhaps. Like something out of Inferno. I can only hope you didn't get a good look at him, Margaret.
And why is that?
Well, they say if you see him, you're destined to die.
Well, I'm not worried.
No? Why's that?
Because I made it all up, you daft old bat. My eyebrows had shot straight up, but Charity didn't seem to mind. The whole room erupted with cackling.
Oh, the cheek on you lot. That counts as your ghost story, I take it? Course it does, course it does. It was very effective. My goodness. I suppose that means it's Moira's turn. Oh, really? Well, I'd have to think. Something often said before believable stories.
Talking. I had been waiting for an opportunity to jump into the conversation more actively. I had been worried that my relative silence was conspicuous. The banter between the sisters had been so acerbic that I thought
I don't know how to pronounce that.
my contribution.
I thought it
would
said
fit right
aerobic
in.
at first.
Yeah, I thought it was aerobic as well, or Arabic. Unfortunately, it seemed that I was missing the mark.
Huh?
Because, yours was really short and...
Okay.
She may as well have slugged me with the gullet. I looked around at the others, who seemed to have barely registered our exchange at all. Presumably, they were all opting to remember this embarrassing outburst forever, something to gossip about the way they had about Angela earlier. I was often unsure about who I was, exactly, without the purpose defined by myself. As an anchoress, I knew exactly what I was meant to do, and where I fit into the world. Removed from the cell, I was utterly blind. I tried new attitudes and mimic behaviors to find something that fit me, but all I could hope to amount to was being someone else's private joke.
I do have a good story to tell, actually. I think it might count. Do tell. Well, one night, I was walking past the cloister, and a little bit of gravel worked its way into my shoe. Terrifying. Let the woman finish, Flora. It's no problem. I stopped to fish the little rock out of my shoe. I leaned against the wall, and when I looked down, I realized there were some odd footprints along the path.
Interesting. I didn't see him there before.
Odd how? Well, they were not human footprints. They were small and pointed. Pointed? Yes, like hooves. Anyway, the footprints continued away from the cloister. I made to follow them, but then I saw a strange figure hunched in the doorway. He turned around, and his eyes flashed in the moonlight. I was scared witless and ran all the way up the stairs to my room.
Creepy.
How strange. Darcy does occasionally bring the sheep up to the cloister to keep the grass short, though. There was only one set of footprints, though. Maybe they walk single file? Maybe? That's probably it. Don't let the little gremlin get to you, Moira. It was a fine story. I know it wasn't very, gripping, but, how delightfully frightful that was.
Everyone raised their cups. I followed suit, although I could not keep up with the others when they proceeded to chug the contents of their drinks.
Hear, hear.
Catherine, would you mind topping me up? We continued to eat, chat, and drink for a long while. The food was delicious, The wine did a decent job making me feel warm and pleasant enough to set any worries of my conversational skills aside, too. What was starting to worry me, however, was the matter of how to approach Catherine with a K about James the stable boy without raising any suspicions.
I would quite like to play a game. No, thank you. You cheat anyway. Hedwig, I forget. Do you know how to play?
Oh, against my better judgment, I gambled. I have been learning, now that you mention it. The superior has been teaching me.
Oh, has she now? Lucky you.
Well, I think it's a way of acclimating me to things outside the cell. Everyone here talks about chess so much.
More than likely, it's her mea culpa for dragging you out of there.
I tried to remain...
What's up?
I was just thinking that, as far as everyone else knows, it was our choice to come out of the cell. So I was just wording caught me off guard for dragging him out of there.
That's fair. I did also catch that, but I wasn't sure if... Because Catherine was the one who went to get her initially, right?
Yeah.
So she probably knows resistance.
Yeah, there was some resistance. Yeah, that's definitely true. I tried to remain calm, but I was gripping my seat so hard I could hear my fingers pop. No, it was my decision to leave.
Oh?
I just felt it was the right thing to do. The superior explained to me that the abbey was in desperate need of a chronicler, and that this would be much quicker than sending word around the country.
Oh, deep down, you always wanted out of that horrible little cell?
It wasn't horrible. I had to correct myself immediately. I had to stick to my story. But, yes, I suppose I did. I understood that to most people, lying comes easily. People do it to stay out of trouble or to make themselves look stronger or wiser or more interesting to each other. It is a sin, but such is the way of the wicked world. But you must understand that when I was an anchoress, I told a single lie. Here in the Misericorde, committed to the Superior's conspiracy, every falsehood felt like I was spitting a burr out of my mouth. I wonder what her lie was.
I wonder. You were quite a mess when I first saw you in there.
Well, I wasn't dressing for an audience then, was I? Everyone chuckled. I was quickly learning that making people laugh was the fastest way to steer them away from topics I didn't want to talk about.
Your frock is still a bit big for you, I have to say. I think it looks nice. She looks cozy all the time. Oh, Hedwig. Ches?
Go on then. Adela beamed at me and got up to retrieve the chessboard and pieces from the shelf. The still ample platter of meat was pushed to the side of the table to make space. One of the wineskins came dangerously close to falling on the floor before Catherine with a K caught it.
That'd be a waste.
Too right. Top me up? The board was set up, save for two pieces. Adela approached me with her hands balled up in fists and held them out to me.
Which hand? Why not just let her go first? Give her the white pieces. She's new here and our guest to boot. Nonsense. This is part of the game.
Let's see. Your right hand. Adela opened her right hand to reveal a black pawn nestled within her palm.
Black it is. Ooh, unlucky. Not at all. Someone must strike first, but that is not necessarily an advantage. When Kerboka struck first at Antioch, he still tasted defeat. Yes, of course. How could any of us forget Kerboka? Queen Aldawa Kerboga rode to Antioch with his men after hearing of a Christian siege. Wait, so didn't the Christians go first then?
I think we're dividing very specific battles up into an individual chess game here.
The crux of the matter is that Sister Hedwig will suffer no disadvantage going second.
Needless to say, Adela trounced me. I felt confident for a move or two, but it became clear quite quickly that I was out of my depth.
Well, I like to think that was not bad for a beginner. You got her in... what, 20 moves? That is better than I would expect from a player who only learned what chess is a week or so ago.
That is a good point.
Hedwig, walk me through your strategy.
Well, I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I was mostly just reacting to your moves.
Is that so? That'd explain it.
Really now?
If you are only reacting to me, it is no wonder I won.
That would follow, I suppose.
I am setting the pace of the whole game. Eventually, you must make your own move. You must force me to react to you.
So, we just act and react back and forth until somebody wins?
I believe that is the game, yes.
Catherine, with a K.
Second, or the first even. Yes, Hedwig. Because we are not competing to see who can make the single best decision. Chess is not just competing to see who can survive the most moves. It is but to see whose strategy can adapt and overcome everything your opponent throws at you. Two souls locked in a complicated and deadly dance. Your romance.
So I've heard you say. That's very interesting.
Thank you. Hedwig, would you mind if I played around? Watching you has got me in the mood to play.
Oh, yes, of course.
A fine idea. Rotating chairs. Who can stay in the victor's seat the longest? I can guess. You are welcome to challenge me as well, Sister Flora, if you feel you deserve to dethrone me.
Flora rolled her eyes as I got up to offer my seat to Moira. The tight group that had formed around the table to watch Adela and I play scattered somewhat. Margaret walked over to the shelf to peruse the entertainment on offer, and Catherine with a K sat down closer to the fireplace. She brought a wineskin with her and poured herself another cup as soon as she was situated. I craned my neck over to Charity Soldier to try to watch Moira and Adela's game. I found myself surprisingly eager to learn some new tips. However, I was quickly interrupted by Catherine with a K calling from across the room.
Hedwig, have a drink with me.
Oh, yeah, of course. I pulled up a chair next to her as she poured me a cup of wine.
There we are. This is good stuff.
It's very flavorful.
It's made here, you know. It's the only reason this wretched place exists.
The only reason? Surely that's not true. Abbeys are a source of
wine and money and absolution for people willing to give them money. Believe me, I'm well acquainted with how these places really work. You and I are very similar, if you can believe it. I do apologize if I've ever made you feel lesser than some of the others.
not at all.
I was once like you. alone and confused, in a place very different from what I was used to. Of course, you left your position by choice, but nonetheless,
I could not correct her, especially as a topic I'd nearly bubbled over very recently. But I wanted to. Desperately.
I, on the other hand, was ripped from a perfectly comfortable life for a variety of unjust reasons.
You were forced to become a nun? That's not right. I mean, I would choose no other life for myself, but...
My goodness, you really were locked away for a long time. That is quite common, even if my particular circumstances are outstandingly unfair. It's a very easy way for a family to get rid of a woman they're not fond of. I was once the lady of a great house, which came, of course, with a certain nasty politics of its own. In that aspect, it was not all that different from living here.
Really?
The politicking, just the politicking. The clothes, the jewels, the freedom. I would put up with the ghastly parlor games to have all that back.
I wasn't sure what politicking at the Abbey she was referring to, but it was no time to get hung up on the little details. So, what happened, if you don't mind my asking?
I stepped on some of the wrong toes in high society. Put some noses out of joint, was accused of some unsavory things I'd rather not repeat. And so, I was offered the choice of facing the court and a likely execution, or taking the vows. I chose the latter. At least I can still grab onto the barest threads of life's greatest pleasures here, occasionally.
She took a deep sip of her drink. That's... well, that it just isn't right.
A criticism of the church? Goodness, we'll make a sea dog of you yet.
I didn't say that, but if this happens often, it does sound like some people abuse the concept of the monastery.
You know, I think shuffling people out of sight might be the concept of the monastery.
Come now, that can't be true. Monasteries do wonderful things. They're centers of prayer, research, and rigorous academic study, and we help those in need. It's an important calling.
Do we do any of that here? How many people in need do we help? All the way up on this hill. There isn't another village for miles. And the fine folk of Linbarrow would have to trek up on a mountain to get here.
Well, perhaps Limbarrotor Abbey is more of a monastery for prayer and learning and so on.
Present company excluded, of course, but I don't think much earnest prayer emanates from these halls. Nor do I think we are likely to be responsible for any academic or scholarly pursuits of note anytime soon.
No.
Catherine II would have argued otherwise, of course. He desperately wanted all of us to have amusing little projects. She was constantly pursuing some sort of greatness, whether for herself or the whole abbey.
What did she want for you?
She desperately wanted to get me to act in one of her little performances. She said I had a natural disposition for it.
Did you ever take her up on it?
Once or twice. I didn't hate it, but acting for an audience of just a few other nuns didn't give me much satisfaction.
Still, that sounds very sweet. I would have liked to have watched one of those performances.
You are too sweet. Too kind. I'll beat that out of you eventually.
She chuckled dryly and reached for the wineskin to pour herself another cup.
But now that she's gone, the only product of note here is the wine. And when Marta eventually pops it... Grim, I know, but I am just being realistic. That'll be the last of any worth this place has got. When the wine dries up, so will we. Speaking of...
She shook the wineskin and flopped it back and forth unceremoniously. Is that one dead?
Goodness, you made me jump.
Sorry. I was just coming over to see if you wanted another.
Oh, you are positively angelic.
Margaret grinned ever so slightly and began pouring out of a much fuller-looking wineskin than the deflated lump Catherine was holding, with a K. I noticed that Catherine with a K was beginning to look a little rosy in the cheeks. I felt dastardly even considering this, but if there was ever a time to ask her about James...
Wonderful. You know, this reminds me. We haven't had a proper wake for Cat. Unbelievable!
Laura was holding the platter of meat and staggering on one leg. She looked surprised that she had managed to catch the fluid at all. Chess pieces had clattered on the floor all around the pair of players. Adela looked furious. Moira, however, was clearly trying her hardest not to laugh out loud. Catherine with the K, Margaret, and I all hurried over to see what the fuss was about.
I'm sorry, Adela. But it's true. What on earth did you do? She used underhanded tactics to try to eke out a pathetic victory. Oh, come now. I was just playing normally. And how's that? She was taking every piece possible, whether it was logical to do so or not. Oh no, here we go. Not another argument about Bloody Maiden's chess again. I don't know what that voice was. I wasn't trying to do anything malicious. I just captured a lot of pieces, I suppose. You captured every time it was remotely possible, even if it was not strategically important. Violence for the sake of violence. Total barbarism. Passionless, ugly brutality. Was it really every time it was possible? Yes, do not pretend otherwise. Oh dear. Hand on heart, I promise I was not playing by Maiden's rules on purpose. I was just... well... eager? Eager? Eager to prove myself. You are very good at chess. I thought that being aggressive would be my best strategy. That could hardly be called a strategy. You and Hedwig played just the same. Well, there is one small difference. I won.
Raucous laughter went up from all the other sisters.
I was really hoping that that's what you was going to say.
All except Adela, who looked like she might need to be physically restrained from leaping onto Moira like one of the bears Angela was so worried about.
I demand a rematch. A rematch where we understand we are playing the same game by the same rules. The rules of real chess, not this oafish perversion. If it'll make you happy.
We all set to work writing the table and finding all the scattered pieces that had found their way across the room. Any requests? Margaret had managed to sneak up behind me as I was bent over picking up the wayward pawn. Gah! Sorry. She stood up and turned around to see her idly strumming a bulbous wooden instrument. I think it's about time for some music. Is there anything you'd like to hear? I bit my lip. I was not sure how to answer this question without sounding icier than I wanted to be at the moment. I was trying to make friends, not alienate anyone who I already had. Silly question. My apologies. Well, not silly. I appreciate it. Yeah, okay. Oh, silly question. Okay. Just, they really should have given you an instrument in there. A flute, perhaps? I've never felt like I needed one. It might have been fun, though. She had started plucking the strings and bobbing up and down, and a slight grin emerging from her lips. She swayed side to side a little, but kept her eyes on me the whole time. Another silly question, but I may as well go for it. You do know what music is, right? Of course I do. I heard it occasionally as a little girl, and there's lots of it mentioned in the Bible. Joyful noise, yes. I'd be curious to know what you remember from before you were interred, though. Well, I vaguely remember one about summer. Summer in Inkerman? That must be it. That's quite old. That's something Maud would have considered out of fashion. Well, I never claimed to have a particularly fashionable child. Summer in Inkerman. Yes, that's the one. It's a fun one. Want to sing it? Oh, no, everyone. A little musical accompaniment of a clash of armies, yes? I flushed red as everyone turned to look at us. All the pieces had returned to the chessboard, and the sisters were crowded around, save for the pawn I held in my hand. Adela held open her hand and looked at me expectantly. Instinctively, I tossed it. She snatched it out of the midair and gave me a little smile as a cheer went up around the room. Margaret played a single note. Perhaps it was the wine, or perhaps hearing everyone cheer at my expert chess piece throw had gone to my head, but I did not protest. Instead, summer in despite my initial bravery, I could feel myself turning redder and redder. However, once Margaret chimed in, the rest of the room did too. In short order, nearly everyone was singing along as Moira and Adela began their second game. I had no idea if I was anywhere close to the right tune or pitch, but it didn't matter. There was something intoxicating about hearing everyone together, loosely guided by Margaret's lute strings. The song lasted for several chess moves. When the song ended, everyone was clapping and laughing. Even Flora looked amused, her usual frown twisted into something like a smile.
It's bloody winter, though. All the more reason for a summer tune. Hear, hear.
Cups clunked together as everyone toasted. Moira and Adela's game continued apace. Adela looked like frustration was getting the better of her again. Her moves began to feature loud punctuation. She was practically thrusting her pieces onto the board. It also looked like playing with a different set of rules was making Moira take things more seriously. She looked thoughtful, and she took to tenting her fingers under her nose and leaning forward between turns. Even without Moira using her old strategy, the amount of pieces was dwindling fast. Adela was certainly being more aggressive. She had navigated her queen into a domineering position on Moira's side of the board, close to her king.
I think I have you.
Moira slid her own queen further onto the board to the side.
That is of no help to you.
Only a handful of pawns remained on either side, save for each side's king and queen. Adela, however, seemed to have primed the fatal blow. Moira had elected to move her queen further to the right-hand side of the board, presumably to pin Adela's king from afar, but appeared as though she had moved the critical piece dangerously close to one of Adela's pawns.
I think it might be. You have left your queen completely open to me. Well, not entirely. You still have to get a pawn in position to take her. which I shall do.
She slid the pawn next to Moira's queen with dramatic confidence.
Are you even playing anymore? Perhaps I have bored you? No, just I don't know how to put this. You can't take my queen. What do you mean? Of course I can. No, I don't think so.
Moira carefully lifted her queen up, then placed it back down on the board, directly diagonal to Adela's own advancing queen.
What? I must ask again. Are you even paying attention?
However, a murmur of understanding was passing through the rest of the room.
Adela, don't set me up like that. What on earth are you talking about? Are you paying attention?
She gestured to the board, pointing at the relative position of her own king and queen and Adela's attacking queen.
If you take my queen, my king can't move. I can't rightfully put him in check, can I? Of course not. Wait. Which would result in a stalemate. Is that correct? So, perhaps we can agree to a draw? Of all the dirty tricks! Sister Moira, I am shocked. It wasn't a trick. Or rather, it's not like this was my plan, but you were playing really well. This was the only defense I could conjure up.
Moira might as well have been pissing on Adela's food in front of her, the way Adela was glaring at her.
Oh, draw? Yes. It is a draw.
Another cheer went up around the room as Adela begrudgingly shook Moira's hand over the chessboard.
I suppose that means both seats are open? Yes, I suppose so.
She stood up sulkingly and made it off with the wineskin that Catherine had left on a chair by the fireplace. Moira vacated her seat too, looking sheepish.
Anyone want to take me on? Oh, go on then.
I was starting to get a little worried that I would never get a chance to corner Catherine, although at the very least her drinking was not slowing down. As long as I could get to her, I was certain I could get what I needed. The issue, at this point, seemed to be getting to her at all. Margaret was pacing around the room, strumming a pleasant tune on her lute. I could see Flora reaching for a book in the corner shelf. However, when she brought it to the chair by the fireplace, she held it over her knee rather than open it to read.
Margaret!
With a wicked grin, Flora began to beat the book with her palms. A driving rhythm was created. It was one that Margaret clearly knew if she immediately returned with the lute melody of fitting snugly between Flora's makeshift drum beats.
Oh.
Moira ran over to the shelf and retrieved a small wooden flute. As soon as she had an opening, she began to play along with Margaret and Flora. The tune was wild and a little jagged, but it was one everyone in the room seemed to know. Save for me, of course. Catherine with a K began swinging back and forth in her seat, and I could see Charity's head moving underneath her hood. Adela, however, was breaking into the full-on dance, jumping and twirling like a madwoman. I must admit, I was stymied. These people were unrecognizable. I had no idea what to do. There was no way I was going to dance, and I wasn't particularly interested in getting another chess lesson from my betters. To avoid looking foolish, I did the one thing available to me that felt like I belonged in this room. Drink. I was no stranger to wine. I had it with every meal, even when I was still in Anchorus. But this was a new experience. Nobody in this room was drinking to quench their thirst. They were all drinking for the sake of drinking, chasing in the stupor that was expressly discouraged, if not outright forbidden, by the texts all of them held sacred. What do I do? I was conscious enough to understand that this was not the time to proselytize. I closed my eyes briefly to pray that my transgressions would be understood. I was here to seek justice for a murdered woman. I was here to clear an innocent man's name. The songs kept going and going. It would have been one long shifting song for all I knew. I didn't recognize any of the tunes this makeshift band was playing, but all of it proved popular with the room. I found myself swaying along with the music without thinking. Adela made her way over to me, and I suppose the best description I can muster is that she began dancing at me. She got very close to my face. She bumped her hips against mine, almost knocking me over. I held my drink with both hands and held it in front of me like a shield. I had no idea how to dance alone, let alone with a partner. I don't know how to dance.
It is easy. You just need to move.
I am moving. We were both shouting over the music. Adela laughed and retreated away while still shaking to the beat of Flora's book drum. At the other end of the room, she beckoned to me. I relented, scooting forward, and I honestly can't describe what I did with my legs. I just sort of moved them. Kicked them, perhaps? I would rather not dwell on it. Suffice to say, it was enough to pass for dancing, but not good enough to keep Adela off the band members from giggling at me. These are nice memories. I hope I'm not boring you. The energy of the night decayed slowly but surely. There had been a steady rotation of sisters between chess games and dancing, but the game of chess was now much less raucous. The dancers, myself included, were now sitting down, and Margaret was the last musician still playing a tune. She stood by the crackling fire, staring at the flames and plucking out a bittersweet tune. Her fingers moved delicately over the strings. The intensity with which she had stared into the fireplace gave the impression that she was serenading the flames themselves. That's a really lovely tune. What is it? Thank you. I don't know, really. It's my own. I don't have a name for it. Oh, well, it's beautiful. She turned away from the fireplace and flashed one of her sad smiles at me. I sometimes wonder if I ever had a single earnest exchange while I was outside of the cell. You and I, as we are here, this is as honest as it can get from me. I am free from reinterpreting how whatever flickers across your face as your true intent. Speaking face to face like this is like reading a book with words that rearrange themselves. Aren't you going to ask me what it's about? What's what about? The song. It doesn't have words, so what could it possibly be about? Margaret smiled again. I still didn't come across as happy exactly, but there was some warmth in her face this time. Of course. How silly of me. I don't understand. I'm the one who doesn't understand. I keep asking you these questions as if you were anyone else. Am I so different? Compared to these women? She tilted her head towards the others, who were still preoccupied in quiet conversations of their own. Very. None of them seemed to see the world quite like you do. That makes it sound a little too important. I didn't say you were better than them, and for that matter, I don't think they're better than you. Everyone here is just different. And you're different in a very interesting way. We speak the same language, but sometimes I feel like I barely understand anyone, or that nobody understands you. I felt the same way, and I've often wondered, is the onus to change on you, or them? Me? That was a quick answer. Well, why should it be anyone else's responsibility? Very noble. But by that same token, why should it be yours? Because I'm new, and I'm out of place. I'm more out of place than they are. There are more of you than me, if that makes sense. More people who have lived their lives outside of little rooms. I couldn't possibly demand everyone else started making concessions for me. That's very interesting. When I asked you what the song meant, What was your first reaction? Inside, in your mind, before you spoke. I thought, how can a song with no words mean anything? My response was earnest, I assure you. You are very honest. But this music make you feel something, though. It's very sad compared to when you were playing before. You can tell? That's wonderful. But still, your question is perfectly valid. There are no words, so how could it have any meaning? I came up with this tune when I was feeling rather melancholy. I think the notes match. These notes sound sad to me. I have no idea how I would know that, but even less an idea on how you might know it. Anyway, it was silly of me to ask, but it does seem like deep down you understood me. That's fascinating, but I don't understand a word of it. She chuckled. This is the sort of thing me and Catherine with the C used to talk about. Thank you, Hedwig. Is it really? Yes. I must admit, I'm cribbing from her work a little here. She asked me these questions almost exactly once upon a time, when I was new. I told her about how, when I was a little girl, it was the hymns that kept me interested in Mass, despite not knowing what any of the lyrics meant. She laughed and said that was proof God was in the music itself. I didn't understand what she meant at the time. I didn't agree. I might still have some complicated thoughts about all that. But whenever I play music, I think about that. I miss her laugh. She began to pluck a new tune on her instrument. That was one of hers. What I can remember of it anyway. I wish I could recall the whole thing. I had no idea how to respond to this, and endeavored to move past the evidently raw subject. One forlorn drunkard had been enough for me. Unfortunately, I managed to put my foot in my mouth instead. Margaret, you're from far away, yes? Here we go. Go on. And I may as well be from someplace far away. Are we similar in that regard? Do we have a sort of kinship as outsiders? I've lived my whole life in England, Hedwig. As did my father, as did his father, and his mother for that matter. So, no, not particularly. She continued to strum her lute, but I could feel a sucking void in between each note. I am sorry. The superior, well, at that luncheon, I must have misinterpreted. She smiled thinly, with none of the subtle humor her vexatious expressions often betrayed. I could sense that I had tested her patience. The superior has never once asked me about my life. Keep that in mind in case she's told you anything else about me. I must have looked as a right fool as I gawped at her and tried to think of something to say, but just then...
Hedwig? Hedwig.
A sudden intrusion made me jump. I turned around, but I could see where Flora was.
Down here.
Flora was sprawled out on the stone floor, her head so close to my foot that I might have tripped had I taken a step to the side. Oh, what are you doing on the floor?
Convalescing. I feel sick when I stand up, but down here is good.
That makes sense. Are you alright?
Yes, this is normal. I think. Catherine said this is normal.
I glanced across the room to Catherine with a K, who was sitting at the table looking only slightly more conscious than Flora.
If I lay down for long enough, I will feel normal again. and then I can have some more wine.
Oh, I think there's plenty left. It's a rather big cask.
I bet I could fit in it if I drank the rest of what's in there.
But I'll go steady now if I were you.
I need to ask Hedwig a question.
What do you need, Flora?
Well, you used to make all those Bibles, yeah? And you know how to make pictures.
Do you mean illuminating?
Yes, what I said. Illuminating.
Yes, Flora. I did a little illuminating.
Two ideas. I have 2 ideas for you.
Go on then. I can't wait to hear this.
Idea number 1. Where is all the gold from that?
The gold?
The gold from the numerating. Keep up.
You mean the leaf? The gold leaf? Illuminating manuscripts involves a lot of colorful pigments, including a gold leaf. I always enjoyed filling in little details like halos and jewelry with my little brush. I must admit though, it wasn't my favorite color to work with. I was partial to the deep blue pigment I broke out into depictions for certain robes, eyes, and the ocean.
Right. Where do we keep all of that?
I'm not sure. I would have brought it with me in little pots every few months. I think the bishop brought them.
It's not here?
I could feel myself turning hot with embarrassment and shock. Flora's drunken demeanor was already knocking me off keel, and her vulgar outbursts set my tooth on edge. I don't think so. Sorry, Flora. Did you want to paint with it?
No. I wanted...
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I wanted to steal it. Think about it. We could be rich. And we could split half and half.
3 ways. I want in on this deal too.
Fair's fair, I suppose.
That's... Flora, how could you? Hedwig, I don't think you need to take this very seriously. Plotting to rob the Abbey, or worse, the diocese itself, this is very serious.
You're no fun.
It's paint, Flora. What Hedwig means is that the gold isn't worth anything when it's paint. I
knew it was too good to be true.
Tough luck. What would you have done with all that gold? If it was really gold, I mean.
What do you think? Us 3, we had this flippin' abbey. Go someplace far away.
She gestured broadly with her hand, I presume to imitate a bird in the wind or
I need you to know that I was
something.
making that exact same motion before the dialogue even came up.
I believe it.
That's incredible.
Oh, bless her. Why would we want to do that?
Because I hate it here.
Tears started welling up in her eyes. I had no idea what to say. Flora, let's get you up. Come on. She extended a hand down to Flora. I followed suit, although I'm not sure I was much help. We dragged the poor girl to her feet and brought her up to one of the chairs by the fireplace. She looked positively sodden.
I hate it here so much.
There. Surely you don't mean that. Margaret shot me a look, and for the first time ever I could sense true venom behind her eyes. It was the briefest flash of anger, but it was enough to make me feel like a flower looking up at a boot. Why do you hate it here, Flora?
There's nothing to do. And I'm all alone.
Margaret reached out and clasped her shoulder. You aren't alone, but I understand.
I am, though. There's no one my age here. Nobody talks to me. I don't know what I'm doing here. I never wanted to join the convent.
She broke down in little hiccuping sobs. Margaret got down on one knee and squeezed Flora's hand in hers. I was too much of a coward to follow suit. All I could do was stand there stupidly, hoping that some of the immense pity I was feeling would be detectable for Flora and Margaret. I wanted to help, but I had not a single earthly idea what help looked like. You never had a choice, did you, Flora? Flora shook her head.
I miss Catherine.
I do too.
She would talk to me. She was Eula's age, but she at least knew how to listen. She was the only one who felt like a real sister to me.
I opened my mouth to point out that sister was merely a title, but thought better of it. Catherine made time for everyone. I'm sorry if it feels like we haven't made any time for you, Flora. I can try harder.
But I like you being alone.
She started sobbing again. I was bewildered by this contradiction, but Margaret just smiled. I do understand. I really do. Us old fogies aren't much fun to be around, are we? Flora shook her head, and Margaret chuckled. We're all you have, I'm afraid.
Not if I leave.
You can't leave, Flora. None of us can. Our vows are perpetual.
They don't have to be. I mean, Hedwig.
She pointed at me weakly.
Hedwig broke hers, and she was an anchoress or what have you.
That was different, Flora.
How?
I had an answer for this, but I could not share it. Instead, I had to stew in this uncomfortable silence between the three of us. I'm certain that's a more complicated situation, Flora.
Well, maybe I could be complicated. I would be happy telling people it was complicated if they asked how I could leave.
There's no other convents you could transfer. There's always other convents you could transfer to one day. You could go to London or Spain. I'm sure they have lots more nuns your age in abbeys that aren't in the middle of nowhere like our boring old place. Remember when Catherine and C and you were planning to visit to Italy?
Yeah?
Maybe we can try and put something like that together again for you. I'd just hate to see you break your vows and throw your life away.
Would that be so bad?
Yes! The two of them turned to look at me inquisitively. A trace of the same rage I had sensed earlier flickered behind Margaret's eyes, but I forged onward. Take it from me, Flora. Don't break your vows. Your life might feel difficult sometimes, but these struggles are nothing compared to the regret you would feel breaking that oath. If the guilt didn't consume you, the world would. No man would marry you. No lord would want your service. You would have nowhere to go but back to the church, and then you'd have to right back where you started, feeling all the same things, with the added yoke of despair that no matter how hard you threw yourself into the work, no matter how much you believed in your vows this time, that you had made that choice, that you were an apostate. That's a millstone that you could never take off. Flora looked ready to burst into tears again. Margaret had cast her eyes on the floor.
How would you know
Because this is how I feel every day, Flora. Sister Margaret is right, my choice was complicated, but I've regretted it every day since, and I will for every waking moment of my life. You don't want to end up like me. Hedwig is right, Flora. Leaving this life can be very tempting, but there's really nowhere else to go.
I don't know. I don't know if that makes me feel any better.
I promise we will do whatever I can to make you feel more at home here. Hedwig will too. Won't you, Hedwig? Yes, of course.
Thank you.
She sniffled and pulled her hand away from Margaret's. She twiddled her thumbs together in her lap and feebly attempted a smile.
I guess it's just the wine. I mean, where would I go?
You can travel the world if you really want to. There's no reason we can't ask the Superior to send you somewhere nice one day. We just don't want you to throw your life away. Believe me, everyone in this room has been where you are right now.
Really?
When I was your age, I once tried to escape into the back of a delivery cart. I was going to hop off in a village in a boat across the lake. From there, I'd hitchhike to London, marry a wealthy man, maybe visiting a dignitary or something of the sort. I had big ideas.
Why didn't you?
Margaret grinned. Her eyes were slightly glassy. Catherine of the Sea had more or less the same conversation with me that we're having with you right now. She begged me to stay. She asked what she could do to convince me.
And?
Well, that's when I said I wanted to play the lute. We all remained silent for a moment. Flora, forgive me, but earlier you said you had 2 ideas. Is there something someone could do?
Oh, that. No, that was nothing.
Go on, tell us.
I was going to ask if you could teach me what you know about illumination, Hedwig. After all, I'd need some skills if I were ever to leave, wouldn't I?
You wanted to steal a bunch of gold paint to fund your life on the run as an artist. Margaret started to giggle. Flora looked affronted at first, but eventually joined in with a quiet chuckle of her own.
Tough off.
No, I like it. It's better than my plan was.
Well, I'm rubbish at drawing, so bit of a non-starter.
Hedwig will teach you. Won't you, Hedwig? Margaret's tone was light, but she was looking at me with a grim intensity. Of course I will. I can't promise much. I've only ever worked with illuminated Bibles, but...
Just the basics. That's all I need.
That's right. It's good to start somewhere. Catherine with the Sea taught me about music, and she wasn't exactly Hildegard. Flora stood up from her chair. She was wobbly in her feet, a reminder that she was still very, very drunk. As she lurched towards me, she threw her arms around me unannounced, marking a second time this evening that I had no idea how to respond to somebody's touch.
Thanks, Hedwig. You're alright. You know that?
Well, give the lady some space, Flora. She probably doesn't want to smell your wine breath. Why don't you go eat something? Flora released me from her embrace and gave Margaret a vaguely affirmative hand gesture. She spun around on her heel, still a little imbalanced, and wandered off towards the table. Goodness, I haven't seen anyone get that pissed in a while. Did I say something wrong? I don't think so. I think we did the best we could. Did you mean it? Mean what? About breaking your vows? Do you really feel that way? Oh, yes. There is no sense of walking things backwards. Huh. Why did you do it then? In retrospective, I probably would not have made the same decision. That's why I felt like it was worth telling Flora. Margaret nodded thoughtfully. Well, lovely chatting with you. She picked up her lute from a chair next to the one Flora had been sitting in, and then left to put back on its shelf.
Crumbs! Into Flora.
Catherine had wandered over to our side of the Misericorde, nursing a drink in one hand and resting the others to her hip. Oh, I think she just had a little too much to drink.
Too right. I heard her bawling over here, and I thought to stay out of it. But now she's at the table yammering on and on about cats. How are you faring?
Me? Well,
Having fun?
to a degree. We've been consoling Flora.
It worked. She's back to being quite irritating.
Well, you can thank Hedwig. She's the expert.
Ooh. Ooh, did you impart some of your hankerous wisdom?
Yes. I suppose I did. It was tough, but it was what Flora needed to hear.
Marvelous. I still remember visiting your odd little window and asking all about something or other. You were quite a blunt instrument, if I recall.
Was I? Once I came to the window to ask what the punishment for breaking a promise was, you were prepared with a whole lecture about how I shouldn't be taking any oaths in the first place, with several citations from Matthew on hand, of course. I'm afraid I don't remember that. It was years and years ago. That doesn't surprise me.
Do you remember many of our questions? Do you know who asked what?
I remember questions, but not who asked them. And I wouldn't tell anyone if I did.
Good. I mean, not why I was asking, but good.
Oh. Why were you asking?
So, how's your first Miss Thingy?
Oh, it's been fun.
Don't worry about Flora. Someone always cries at one of these. Sometimes more than one person.
Oh no. It's her more often than not.
Me crying? Absolutely untrue. I have a reputation to maintain.
Uh-huh.
Adela's flipped the table over. Someone started getting weepy. I'd say you're getting about as rigorous an education in Misericorde etiquette as you possibly could have.
It's certainly been a learning experience.
Oh, but it's been fun, right? We're having fun.
Catherine with a K was a wine-addled as Flora had been, but it was clearly affecting her differently. Flora had almost seemed like a different girl. Catherine with a K was simply multiplied. Whatever clarity she had been experiencing when we chatted by the fire earlier had been enhanced with a slightly manic energy. I'm having fun. Yes, absolutely.
Good. Because you know the superior would have me hanged if you didn't have a good time.
Really? She put you up to this?
Oh, good heavens, no. I can just intuit these things. You know? I could just see her bearing down on me because you complained.
I don't complain to the superior.
That's good. I mean, not that you have anything to complain about. Sorry, I wasn't insinuating that you would complain. Just that. By the way, Did you know that cow Angela complained about me to her once? To get back at me for... I forgot where I was going with this.
You were going to sit down and take it easy, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Margaret. Yes, I was.
I could sense that my window was closing. Catherine was a very different kind of drunk than Flora, but it seemed like she, too, was not far off from falling to the floor. Actually, Margaret, could you give us a minute? Of course. She looked a little confused, but obliged.
Love her. Very clever. Isn't she just?
Margaret's wonderful. Catherine with a K. I've been meaning to ask you something, but it's very important.
It's Catherine the First, by the way. If it's about the cat, it isn't mine.
No, it's not about the cat.
And I need to get Eustace, or one of the other crafty ones, to help me with my door. I'm sorry if it bothers you. Does the door bother you?
No, I was now or never. James. I spoke to James. He says you can vouch for him on the night Catherine the Second with a C died. Can you? Is that true? Catherine's brow furrowed slowly, and her eyes adjusted in a strange and unexpected manner. It was like I had forcibly sucked the wine out of her somehow.
You spoke to James? What did he say?
Not much at all. He professed his innocence, though, and he said that you might be able to prove it. Something to do with his traveling cloak?
What traveling cloak?
The one Darcy found. I was speaking in a whisper lower than I had known I was capable of. I was terrified that someone might overhear, but there was no turning back now.
Not here. We can't talk about this here. Not with everyone else around.
Then when? And where? Everyone turned to look at the door in unison. Are we expecting something?
Perhaps Sister Darcy has brought some more food?
Moira, who had been sitting closest to the door, stood up to answer it first. She removed the bolt, swung open the door, and... Moira fell back on her backside and scrambled away from the door on all fours. Everyone else screamed and wailed as soon as they saw what was at the door. The same hulking figure that had threatened me at the end of the hallway all those nights ago. A cloaked figure lumbered forward, its metal boots thudding against the stone floor. Everyone had made for the back of the room as fast as they could, all yelling at the top of their lungs. I myself felt absolutely petrified, but I could not bring myself to move. I stood there, assuredly white as a sheet, unable to move. I felt like my heart would give up if I took even one step. The monster took another labored step towards me. I stood there, dumbstruck as I brought myself there before me. Its gauntleted hand reached under its cloak, and with a horrible, grinding shriek, it drew its sword. Everyone screamed again. There was practically baying. This is you.
Presumably some kind of... I don't know, give me some kind of hint? Like, muffled armor voice?
Yeah, sure, that works.
Man, woman? Presumably woman, but...
Up to you.
I guess we could do this. This could be fun.
Eat your feeble inquiries, Sister Hedwig.
I am not afraid of you. Could you believe that this was not a lie? Faced with the sword, I felt an odd sense of peace. A glint of the blade in the candlelight, it offered me a noble release from the predicament I found myself in.
I'm trying to make sure that it actually gets picked up on the stream.
It
Were you able to hear that alright?
Yeah, I was. It was really cool.
Do not force my hand, Steez.
Did Did you not hear me? I am not afraid.
Then you truly are a fool.
Strike me down, then. I will gladly die in service of the Lord. I will gladly give myself in defense for what is right and just. If you have me killed for pursuing the truth, then so be it.
Hey.
I could practically hear everyone's heads tilting in confusion at once. A musical chord of rustling fabric.
I grow tired of this conversation. Consider this a warning.
Still pointing their sword at me, the figure took a lurching step backward, only to trip on its own cloak.
Lol.
The woman who had been huddled behind me rushed forward. Adela grabbed the sword that had fallen out of the assailant's hand and held it up to their neck. Adela, stop!
Remove your disguise, Kerr, before I cut off your head and remove it myself.
The cloaked figure held up their hands defensively. Their hands looked far too small for the bulky gauntlets they wore. I glanced down at their legs and was shocked to see that they were twisted and broken. Your legs! Are you alright?
Oh, yes, let's make sure this Crimp's legs are unharmed.
Stop. Stop. My legs are alright.
The voice sounded less ragged and imposing now. The figure shifted their weight, and I realized that the big metal boots they had been wearing had simply come off in the tumble. With a sense of resignation, the monster lifted its hands out of the black cloth mask concealing its face, and... Eustace!
Surprise! And that's where we're gonna end it for tonight.
Yeah, that's a good stopping point. Okay, yeah, there's this...
Oh, they
cool-
even gave it to us.
Yeah.
I had to make a voice so indistinct it could be literally anyone. That was the best I could come with on such short notice.
Yeah, I was trying not to give it away what it was or who it was or anything like that. So I'm like, just go with it, bud.
Yeah. Look, it was just really muffled by that big helmet. I mean, real muffled.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, I think this was the best episode so far.
Yeah, it's one of
I
my
think-
favorites. I
Yeah.
love the whole Misericorde scene. It's just so cool having people, having everyone talk in a group, and I think it's just cool seeing their personalities a bit more. Adela is probably the least developed character in my opinion, but she's still very interesting. She has like a very strategic mind. She's very into war and swords, and it's just very interesting for a nun. And I'm looking forward to see her develop more into the future. And I hope she develops more in the future volumes, because she is probably the least developed nun besides Marta. But I do like her. So, yeah. And Moira is just surprisingly smart and vicious. Her whole like the whole thing to think of me was Moira was really aggressive in chess, and then even when she wasn't being aggressive, she was still tactical enough to make it a draw for the Adela. So she's not like a dumb airhead as many would have her believe. She's actually quite smart, and I don't trust her in the slightest. She's just so suspicious to me. I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And we got
I'm
a lot of ghost
very
swords.
interested to learn more about Angela. I
Oh,
am very
Angela.
interested in her.
I love Angela. She's so great. She's like the only person that I trust. I don't know why I trust her, but I think when she...
Yeah, she's our Byakuya.
yeah. When she ran into Hedwig in the hallway, I think that was the scene where I just completely trusted her no matter what, because she is just so blunt and she doesn't seem to be wanting to hide anything. She's just very upfront about you. She's very truthful. She's mean, but she is not like hostile. She's just very blunt and matter of fact, and I really appreciate that about her.
Yeah, I really liked the scene right after the cat.
Yeah, that was a great
He's
scene.
like, I don't hate you. You just represent everything I don't like about this place.
Yeah.
But you are not beyond salvation.
Yeah. She's such a fascinating character. She's one of my favorites. I
Yeah.
think my absolute favorite character is besides Hedwig is probably Eustace, honestly. Eustace is just one of my favorite characters in this game. She's just so interesting to me. I don't know why. You'll find out
I guess
more
we'll
about
find
her
out a lot
later.
more in a second.
Yeah, like I said, there was a reason there was a reason I wanted Eustace to be two different people between me and Hedwig. I wanted Eustace to be somebody else, and I'm just really glad that it worked out because she is such a big focal point in this first volume. She gets so much screen time, especially after this point, and I just really found myself endeared to her. She's such a cool little character, and I like her a lot. But I worry that her arc may end in this volume because it doesn't really give too much room for her to grow. But what we do get of her, I really liked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like your really drunk Flora voice. That was fantastic. I was chuckling the entire time.
I enjoy doing different voices. I'm always a bit paranoid about them.
No, you did really well.
Yeah. People were complimenting my Angela voice.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look up what the character's name was. I was trying to do a voice that was very close to a specific character, but distinctly not close enough that anyone would recognize.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to look up their name because you're gonna laugh when I tell you this. It was... Hold on. I'm never gonna find this. Hold on. There we go. IMDb. I think this will help. Alright, I guess we can do the outro while I look this up.
Alright. Have a good night, guys. I'll see you sometime. Bye. We'll update you on this tomorrow when he figures it out. I don't want to.
I think her name is Roz.
Roz. What is from
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Mike
I told you to laugh, but
Wazowski.
Yep.
Mike Wazowski.
I'm watching. Always watch. But I was trying to make it distinct enough that no one would be able to recognize it without me telling. But just close enough that I could get that same level of disgust at the world.
Yep, that's a great voice for her. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I did. Man.
All right, and on that note, good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.